special person who volunteers their time and energy here in the city of Long Beach. Anna Fatigati. Anna, would you please step forward? So Captain Fatigati is one of our volunteer auxiliary police officers, and she's dedicated 15 years of her life to the city of Long Beach. She has given thousands and thousands and thousands of hours to the city for free, and the council would like to formally recognize her with this citation. If you bear with me, I'd like to read it. Anna, whereas the city of Long Beach wishes to recognize those individuals and organizations who are committed to the betterment of the city and the lives of our residents, and whereas the city of Long Beach does desire to publicly acknowledge and congratulate Anna Fatigati on her promotion to captain. That's right. For the Long Beach Auxiliary Police Department. Captain Fatigati is the first female captain of the department. Congratulations. Whereas the city of Long Beach recognizes and thanks Captain Fatigati for her years of service and dedication to helping keep Long Beach a safe place for residents and visitors, Captain Fatigati and her fellow auxiliary police officers are an integral and valued part of the Long Beach Police Department. Now, therefore, on this day, March 7th, 2023, the City Council and the City Manager of the City of Long Beach wish to recognize and proudly present this citation to Captain Anna Fatigati. Congratulations, Anna. Look at this, Anna. Congratulations, Anna. Thanks so much. All right, now for the fun, we're going to go back up there so all of you get to yell at us for a little while. Ready?
Yes. We're going to wait for Ron. Oh, yeah, what's Ron?
Yep. Okay. Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach, held Tuesday, March 7th, 2023 at 7 p.m. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Posterly.
Here.
Councilmember Lester.
Here.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Here.
Vice President Treston.
Here.
President Bendo.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of Acting City Manager Ron Walsh and Corporation Counsel Charles Geiger. And we'll now have a salute to the flag.
Hey, I'm going to ask Mr. Geiger to lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And folks, before we get started, item 19 has been added by unanimous consent.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first meeting of March. And it helps if I turn my microphone on. So again, good evening. Welcome to our first meeting of March. Just to let
everyone know, because I guess there's a lot of interest in it. We're going to take item 16 on the agenda, which has to do with the transmission cable. We're going to make that the first thing we're going to do tonight as far as the agenda. But before we get to that, we're going to start with the city manager's report.
Thank you, President Bendo. So, the city manager's report tonight, I want to start with actually informing the public a little bit on the Parkland alienation item, which will be coming up first for the council to discuss and come up for vote. So one of the things I wanted to make sure that the public understood about this particular item is that this alienation bill, in effect, does nothing to our parkland. It is an administrative procedure that actually gives the city of Long Beach itself permission to make the determination as to what happens on our own land. So a portion of what is proposed or being proposed by Equinor Wind is to go underneath our beach by about 9 stories underneath the surface of the earth. And then at about 4 stories underneath the surface of the earth, it will go underneath the boardwalk. Parkland in the state of New York must be specifically alienated, meaning you must get specific permission from the state of New York to use any portion of a parkland for anything other than a park. What we don't want to happen here in the city of Long Beach is for the state of New York to decide that for us. What we want in Long Beach is for the local control of this council to have the authority to consider whether or not they want to allow something to go underneath our parkland. So what this bill does, is it takes it out of state control. With the state's permission, they must grant us home rule and say, yes, Long Beach, you can actually decide for yourselves, and gives this local council the ability to take under consideration those things that it wants and expects for its own community. Safety considerations, proper remuneration if the project does go off for the use of their property, going underneath the parkland and anywhere else, and any other consideration that this council chooses to decide is important to them. This is a protection method for this city so that the state does not unilaterally, by themselves, make a decision for this city. That is what's on the council. I understand that there's been a lot of miscommunication out there that we're giving away the parkland. Oh, they're taking this. This is local control at its best. It's the council doing its due diligence to make sure that they have a say at what happens here in this city. So with that, I'm going to move on to the rest of my city manager's report. As I made my personal way of handling my city manager's report, I'd like to answer the questions that came up in the prior city council meeting that the public posed. We had some questions raised. Ron Paganini actually asked a question with regard to the average annual cost to a homeowner for an average assessment for the Haberman payment, which will be coming up this July 15th will be our first payment. So for the average assessed home, the cost would be $610 per household per year. That's the average cost per house that the Haberman lawsuit will cost. I'll answer that, but if you could do me a favor, it's not like a Q&A type of thing, but it's a 30-year payback. It was also, Mr. Paganini also brought up some information on overtime, and it was questioned as to where those numbers actually came from. Those numbers were provided to Mr. Paganini via a FOIL request that he made. Ms. Hession, Elaine Hession, brought up some concerns about the Mount Sinai property and the hospital and about the annex. The council was invited, and myself and some other key members of the administration actually went over and did a walkthrough to the new site that Mount Sinai had. And the concerns of Ms. Hessian were that, they didn't like the way the fencing was down by the hospital property and the new pavilion. So that actually has already been addressed by Mount Sinai. They've already put up new fencing, and more fencing will be coming. We also did bring up the considerations as to the type of vegetation that they planted in landscaping, and they will be changing the landscaping to be something less grassy and more beautiful, so we were told. Miss Crystal Lake, brought up some questions about the critical infrastructure project. And I wanted to inform Miss Lake and those that are listening that she wanted to make sure that there was going to be adequate presentations regarding the critical infrastructure project. For those of you who don't know, the critical infrastructure project is basically putting up a new bulkheading along the north shore of Long Beach to protect that area from flooding. So Joe Fabrizio is working with public relations and DB engineers and the architects to come up with a bi-monthly update on the website to actually keep the residents apprised of the actual project progress, as well as time-lapsed imaging that the public will be able to view to actually get a look to see what's actually taking place at the project site. And also, we're working with the architects to prepare presentations to actually come in and inform the public at a council meeting of exactly what the project will entail. There was also some questions on the water bill that came up, and when people went to pay the water bill, especially using PayPal, why it came up with Long Beach, San Jose, California. After much deliberation and digging into and taxpayer money, we've come up with the conclusion that the San Jose portion is actually where PayPal is located, and Long Beach is where your water bill is. So we're trying to fix the label so it doesn't look like you're in Long Beach, San Jose, California. We're working on that part as well. So with that, that concludes the city manager's report for now, and I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Menda.
All right, thank you. And let's move on to the agenda, again, starting with item 16.
Okay, we're going to call out of order item number 16, which is a resolution requesting the State of New York for the authority to discontinue the use as parkland of a portion of Ocean Beach Park and alienate the lands described, and to convey property interest in such lands to EW Offshore Transport Corporation.
All right, and I guess we're going to hear from Mr. Lupo.
Ben George's mic on?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's fine, Joe. That's fine.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? So as Acting City Manager Walsh explained, this bill, or this proposed bill, is not to actually alienate the beach. Parkland alienation...
You have to talk into the mic, Joe.
Parkland alienation, as he explained, occurs with any parkland. Parkland, as a matter of public policy, is dedicated to the public. So any municipality, any government that wants to use that parkland for anything else or to convey any interest in that parkland has to get the New York State Legislature's permission to do so. What this bill is seeking to do is have the City Council provide the City of Long Beach the authority to say, essentially, hey, New York State, can we have the permission to alienate this property if we so choose in the future? If they say yes to that, then once all the details are worked out, the City Council will then have to decide at a later date whether or not it wants to alienate the property in its sole discretion. Nothing compels it to, nothing obligates us to, it's just the option to. Are there any questions from the council?
Yeah, that's up to you.
Any questions from the council members? All right, seeing none, we'll open it to questions from the public or comments.
On this agenda item.
Okay, Ms. Lake.
Hi, Crystal. How are you?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the update, Mr. Walsh. Thank you
Yes,
for the update.
absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I'm so out of my comfort zone here, but I'm going to try. So there's going to be some type of subsea connection going under Long Beach. And the exit point would be?
sorry?
The exit point?
Use the mic, Joe, when you answer.
So we have these windmills that are 15 to 30 miles out at sea, right?
Correct.
Then the pipe, the conduit, the electricity, and Al Amato is actually here from the Amato Law Group, who is Equinor's, their Equinor counsel. So if I'm saying something incorrect, you just let me know. So you have these windmills, right? And then all these electrical cables will then travel under the seafloor all the way up to Ocean Beach Park. Then when they hit Ocean Beach Park, I don't remember the exact route, but I know it's going to come underneath the beach, under the boardwalk, I believe around Riverside, and go all the way through to our North Shore, then under Reynolds Channel until it enters town of Hempstead. And then from where it goes after that, I don't know because that doesn't concern me.
Okay, so that may be E.F. Barrett.
Grizzly is the mic.
Quick question. I definitely think that we should have control
Thank you.
over this entire project, especially since I'm out of my comfort zone. However, I'm assuming that the lines will travel beneath the sea
Yeah.
in the bay through North Park. And I would just like to mention, if it's
No.
anywhere,
So,
I'm just
just to help you with that, it's not actually going to traverse North Park. It's actually going to go to Riverside. It's going to make a right-hand turn if
To-
approved. So when I say
To-
it's going to, the
Okay.
proposed idea at this point,
Okay.
the aspirational goal of Equinor is to come under the beach, stay subterranean, go underneath Riverside, make a right-hand turn on Broadway, get to
Okay.
Lincoln, go up Lincoln, make a left-hand turn on, I don't know what street, Harrison, thank you, Joe.
okay.
Go from there, cross Long Beach Road, and then in about the general area where, I guess you would say where Water Street and Pops used to be, go
Okay.
underneath Reynolds Channel and continue under the ground through to the Barrett Power Plant area of, I guess it's Oceanside at that point.
Okay, just for equality and equity concerns across the board, I would just like to mention that within a permitting process, there may be environmental justice concerns that should be taken
Yes.
into consideration, as well as CP 29, and I haven't reviewed this in quite some time, Commissioner Policy CP 29.
So one of the
So-
things, just for you, Crystal, to know is also, part of this whole process, and part of the reason why we want to have this local control, is to make sure that if this gets to the point where it's something that we're considering doing, all of the land that's used for the city of Long Beach, all of the underneath the ground stuff that's taking place, not only gets proper enumeration for that, but also that the community gets what it feels is a fair and just price, if you will, for allowing this to take place and go through the community.
That would
So,
be equality.
All of that is
Yes.
in the future concerns for us to have discussions, should it get to that point, with Equinor, and we'll be hiring consultants and firms to represent our needs and concerns, because to be quite frank, no one on this council, or I believe in our legal department, has the specific expertise to deal with an energy company. So we'll hire that expertise to make
Okay.
sure that we actually are represented properly.
Okay, and I would just also like to mention that we are a very unique community,
Yes.
and we must maintain as much control as possible. I mean, the subsea connections, there are others, so we should be mindful of that as well. And in addition to that, yes, environmental justice concerns may be a mechanism that would ensure safety across the board. So I would just like to mention that and have you gentlemen be aware of, there is an environmental justice community on the North Shore. So, thank you everyone for your time, and please take control of this matter and have additional meetings. Because, like, we're clueless, to be honest. Well, I am anyway.
So there's actually a public comment period, 2 sessions on Thursday, one at 1 o'clock and one at 5 o'clock, where you can sign up and make comments to, so real brief, the way the process works is an administrative law judge is assigned by the Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission oversees the routing of transmission lines. They assign an administrative law judge to oversee the process, and the administrative law judge basically holds hearings to get public input. Those hearings are Thursday at 1 and at 5. They're on Zoom. It's a Zoom call or WebEx.
Okay.
So you can sign up. You can sign up to make comments that go into the official record.
Okay.
And
I tried signing up on New York State site. I didn't want to accept the cookies. So if they can get rid of the cookies, okay, I didn't want to accept them.
I declined them, and they let me sign up.
I'm sorry.
I declined the cookies.
You could always
and they
decline
let me
cookies.
sign up.
And they'll let you through.
You know, it
And the
was
info's
just
on the
one thing,
Facebook
so.
page.
Yeah, and under Presidential Executive Order 12898, Environmental Justice, signed into law February 11th, 1994. Federal actions. So even though this may be state, it would probably also be federal, some sort of federal control. Because of going through Reynolds Channel, it's a federal navigational channel in the ocean. So I would just like to keep that on record for our safety and protection
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
as well. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Just for the sake of clarity, Mr. Bendo, the Q&A session that we were talking about, the deadline to sign up was actually by 4 o'clock today. If any members of the public have any questions and you did not have the opportunity to sign up, please email your questions to corp@longbeachny.gov or the City Council, and we'll make sure that when we're on, your questions are asked.
Okay, this gentleman over here.
Good evening to all of you.
Please say your name and address for the record.
David Shokrian, 350 East Penn Street.
Thank you.
So by address, you probably realize I only live 200 feet away from Lincoln Boulevard. I like to know these wires, when they run on Lincoln Boulevard, how many feet below grade they are going to be?
So the actual chamber will start approximately 3 feet below the surface. I'm not sure how far down it goes, but I know a man can get in it, and it will be something akin to like a sewer pipe or something like that, but it's a box instead of a circle in most places. And there'll be access points, like manhole covers, that you'll be able to access it.
So we are talking about 3 feet below grade?
3 feet for the top of the chamber, not where the wires will be.
My question is this: is there a study done to say when we have 230,000 volts electricity in these wires and they are only 3 feet below grade, what type of magnetic field it creates? Is there an independent study done?
So all of those concerns are going to be at the point when we get to the point where we're actually considering whether or not we're going to do this. We're in the part now where we just want to get control so that we can consider everything that you're saying. So those reports and all those things are not in front of us at this point.
Well, so right now, tonight, we have no idea what kind of impact it could have.
There's
Only
no
3
impact to really be discussed right now tonight. There is no impact.
David, there are lots of studies on EMFs and wires. This will be encased, I believe it's concrete, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be encased in concrete. So the actual radiation, so to speak, is much cut down from that. There can't be a study of the actual wire until it's installed, but there are thousands and thousands of studies of high tension wires, and the Gauss, it's all measured, EMFs are measured in Gausses, as you are right next to it, as opposed to 100 feet, as opposed to 200 feet. Well, the concrete creates so-called distance. But one thing I want to be clear about, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the route is not set in stone yet.
Nothing's set in stone until
Nothing
we
is
agree to
Nothing's
it.
set in.
So, David, we're not, we're talking a possible route. We're not talking, when you say it's going down Lincoln, I don't want people thinking that these things are set in stone. All right? I mean, in all
Yeah,
fairness.
there's been no agreements
Yeah.
on anything at this point.
What you can do is, if you go on a New York State Public Service Commission website and put in the case number for this, and what's the case number? Do you know it offhand? What is it, Joe? Why they're looking it
Easier
up.
than that is to go to Empire Wind, and if you go under their resource catalog, they have all of the Article 7 filings, inclusive
Right.
of
All the paperwork that
electromagnetic
the company
studies.
has to submit, the environmental studies, everything, proposed routes, everything is on that website.
And the studies that you're looking for, what they expect these cables to emit in terms of magnetic fields, is on that as well.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot of documentation there.
and they're considered to be safe?
It's roughly, this isn't necessarily a form on the project itself, and we don't have all of those answers, but they say it's roughly the equivalent of an overhead line,
Of
An
high
overhead-
tension
An overhead power line.
of an overhead transmission line. But again, this is not a referendum on the project itself
You-
tonight. This is, questions should be directed towards this specific project.
I'm not going to take too much of your time. I brought this to attention of one of the members of City Council. If you called PSEG today and you said you are considering of buying a property and you are close to high tension wire, right away they send you the pamphlet because they want to be very clear that what you are putting yourself in what situation. You read that pamphlet, you get scared that this is a cancer factory. They tell you the impact that these high tension wires have on farm animals when they run it
So,
close to farmlands.
God bless you.
so everything you're talking about is appropriate. That's commentary that needs to go to the Public Service Commission. All we are doing is taking steps to give us control in this process. Maybe this will help alleviate some of people's what we're doing. This is, hang on, I'm going to read two excerpts. This is from the guide from the Public Service Commission on the Article 7 process, which is for the routing of these transmission lines. It says, once the administrative law judge makes a recommendation about an application, so again, I said earlier, they assign a judge and then the judge makes a decision about whether this is okay or not. The commission reviews the recommendation and considers the views of parties, including the applicant, department staff, government agencies, and organizations, as well as members of the general public who submitted comments. Now, this is why we're doing what we're doing tonight. This is the meat and potatoes of this. Following the granting of the certificate or the approval of any environmental management and construction plan, the certificate holder may acquire any necessary rights of way not already obtained through a negotiated transaction. In other words, what that means is if we don't do this, the state can give them permission to take the land from us. That's what this is about. We are trying to give ourselves control in this process. That's what this is about.
I appreciate
That's what we're
that.
doing
You know,
tonight.
we are in the same boat.
And like you, we all have our houses here too. We have our questions, so we're following the proceedings as well. But this is about giving the city a say in the process so the state doesn't ram it down our throat. That's what this is about tonight. So,
Is Mr. McNally?
Ladies and gentlemen, please do not yell out.
Mr. McNally, is it possible to maybe create an email address under the city for folks to email questions so that this way it could be circulated to the entire council so that we can educate ourselves on the entire process, because there is no way that this is going through without each one of us understanding all of the ramifications of this important decision. And we are residents, and our families are here, our friends are here, and we don't want other people making this decision for us.
And
We
we're
want to make it
finding out
together.
along with you all. Yeah.
So we'll set up I'll have IT set up an email, we'll come up and we'll put it on the website so people know
This
where
is
to go.
going to be an extended process. This is a dialogue, so it's not. There's no behind the scenes deals being made here. We have to go through this process. We have to get the experts to advise the council, and the council is not the council or the city. The council is the representative of the residents. We are your council. We work for you, and so does the city. So it's not us versus them. It's all of us together.
I leave you alone. Mr. Bender, would you please ask PSEG to send you that pamphlet and then share it with the rest of City Council? Just read it, see what they say
Sure, my husband works for PSEG. I'll go ask him.
about high-tension wires.
Okay.
Thank you.
And just to answer Mr. Bendel's question before and let everyone know, the Public Service Commission case number is 22-T as in Thomas, -0346.
You want to,
Come on up.
Okay.
everybody,
Roy?
Did you
Why you
become
inviting him
president? Did you become president?
And other people did too. That's my job.
Hi, Tim Kramer, 361 East Broadway. To be perfectly honest with you, this whole beach/boardwalk issue is, quite honestly, is the least of our concerns. And a couple of corrections. It's not 323,000 volts. It's 350,000 volts. And anything over 1,000 volts is considered high voltage. And to my knowledge, Equinor has not run cables through a dense community like this in the past. It's always been, in rural, uninhabited lands. So we are going to be the first to have such wires run through our town. So I wrote a little something here. I'd like to read it, if everyone could bear with me. I just want everyone to understand what we have here. Equinor is a company owned by the government of Norway. These wind turbines are made in Denmark or China. Don't really know for sure where they're coming from. We've got misinformation both ways. What we do know for sure, they're not made in the country of the United States of America. They are designed, built, and installed and maintained by the employees of the gas and oil conglomerate, government-owned company of Equinor in Norway. Your electric utility is one of the most basic needs of civilization, will be controlled by a foreign government of which there is absolutely no economic benefit to the residents who are relying on this energy. Although we all want a natural progression towards zero emission, the state of New York was blessed with an ocean of clean natural gas on the Pennsylvania border. While the United States has a relentless push for zero emissions, China is building coal plants while selling countries like ours windmills and solar panels, none of which are biodegradable. A country that doesn't use its own natural resources, relies on other countries for basic human needs, is a country destined for failure. And to speak on a more personal level, do you really think your electric bill is going to be reduced with this project? The answer is no. With China firing up coal plants on a daily basis, they are searching for the least costly and most efficient way to power their country, and we are doing just the opposite. We are enriching other countries while we fleece American citizens of economic prosperity. China is not letting other foreign countries control its sovereignty, so why are we letting foreign nationalists control this United States of America? It won't stop here. This is a continuation of the molding of America's economic prosperity, security, and sovereignty. This is this is a real issue here. I don't know what's beeping here, but
Okay.
That's your time.
That was your time, but thank you. And not that it has to do with this, but you brought up a good point, Mr. Kramer, just to address something, in that you talked about most of this material is going to be coming from overseas and things like that. Part of the reason that is actually true is this industry does not exist in the United States at the moment. This industry right now almost exists entirely in Europe, mainly in the North Sea and the Baltic is where all the offshore wind farms are. So that's where the companies are. what there are a number of companies, and Equinor is just one of a number of companies, is hoping to do, I guess, is to start an offshore wind industry here in the United States where components and parts and everything is manufactured here in the United States. We'll see if that comes to it, but that's the idea. And just as a for example, there's a thing called the Jones Act. It's a very old maritime law that prohibits using foreign vessels in U.S. waters to do work like this. So there are shipyards that are waiting to see if these projects are going to come to fruition so they can start building ships to build these things. So you're right, the industry does not exist right now, so a lot of this equipment is going to come initially from overseas. But in the long term, the talk is that we will have indigenous manufacturing here when this goes, because there are a large number of projects being proposed from the Carolinas all the way up almost to the coast of Maine. Now they're also being proposed off of California, Oregon, and Washington, and Hawaii. So we'll see if that happens, but you're correct about what's going to happen initially. But the thinking is that there will eventually be a U.S.-based industry for this. So it's just a FYI. So, Mr. Hodge.
James Hodge in this wonderful city of Long Beach, from Nevada to Maple, from the Bay to our beautiful ocean. You know, I keep hearing so much, I don't know, maybe. It's your job as city council members to know. And if you're bringing it to us, it would have been great to do even more due diligence, or let the company present and have multiple meetings. When is this meeting? Thursday?
That's the
So
state's meeting.
it's
That's the state's meeting.
okay, so a state meeting. So if we do diligence and we care about our city's concerns, we should have been having more meetings and actually asking the company to come here. And didn't have to be a city council meeting. 1 p.m., I'm not sure. Most people lunch breaks are from 12 o'clock. And 5 o'clock, some of people are not home. They're just getting off. And by Zoom, everybody just can't do Zoom, and everybody can't just do email. So I am encouraging the city to, as we heard all of these different things, and we can go on the website and read 1,000 pages or two, but I think it is on the city to do what they can to have as many meetings on, no matter what it is, whether it's good or bad. I know you keep giving looks to the company and all. You look good. You look good. Dressed up nice. But the, yeah, you do. That's a nice suit too. But the thing about it is that this company should have been presented before a day before the state. And I guess the city council, you already met with the state senate, because no, we didn't ask them to meet immediately. How long we been knowing about this to just come to this meeting and set up a city council meeting? This is urgent. There's an urgency in this.
James, what are we voting on tonight?
Huh? So,
James.
Don't take my time. She's talking.
We are voting tonight on home rule. We are not voting on proceeding with an agreement with Equinor. This is what you do. You got to do a lot of homework up here, okay? You got to read everything, and this item is specifically to vote so that we can vote to have the opportunity to determine our own future.
I understand, but so much should have been happening with the whole city. We vote for you. We pay taxes. It should have been before, and it's not just on you, but all of the community should have been able to meet with them, with our city council, because you represent us. Not 2 days before we can go on a Zoom meeting and try to get our questions, call the IT department, try to get emails in and questions that we're going to present on them. No, we should have called the company in, media in, so people can see if our city wanted it or not, and tell us the pros and the cons. This is shoving it down in one night. People have been working all day, and now they have to stay, and we're not getting it presented by them, but we coming to you, and as well, we don't know, and then we do know this, and then we don't know that. That's not good enough for us. And I'm just here to say that it should have been more meetings. Even if you're just voting on this, you knew about it way before tonight to just vote on it. And it's good. We need our control. We need our control. All right? So, listen, I'm with you. If we want to do a live, you know, I'll do one of those.
Okay.
Thank
thanks,
you.
James.
I appreciate it. Whatever we can do for the city.
Okay. Susan.
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 From Equinor.
How many public meetings have you?
Could you step up to the mic?
How many public information sessions have you held?
Hi, yes.
Just state for the record who you are so everybody knows.
Sure. I'm Susan Lenow, Community Engagement Manager with Equinor. So since this September, we have had 3 public meetings and several other community engagements, including the Fall Festival, where we engaged with over, I don't know, 3,000, how many, there was countless people at the Fall Festival throughout that whole weekend, and we provided information that included a notation for this municipal home rule, that this would be part of the process that we would be requesting from the City Council. And then we followed that was in October, with 3 meetings, 2 in Long Beach, 1 was in Island Park, but they were open to residents from across both communities. And prior to that, in May, there were also 2 meetings, 1 in Long Beach, 1 in Island Park.
So, if I could ask a question, Mr. Bendo?
Yeah.
So, part of the process here for Equinor would be that, you know, once we gain the local control that we're seeking, providing that the state gives us that permission, what's Equinor's next steps for the public? What sort of public outreach and communications does Equinor actually have designed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not including, or maybe you want to include the fact that we're going to be holding public hearings about anything that we do.
Yeah, no, so we have a robust public engagement program put together, I'll say, that we do plan to hold various community meetings, maybe topic-focused meetings, and some other engagement activities, whether it be community events to just be present and available for questions. We also launched a newsletter that goes out to the public with all updates of the project, of information as it's available. You do have to sign up for that, but you can easily do that from our website. So if the City Council wants to share that on their website, that's a good way that we can work together to get that information and have people sign up for that newsletter.
I'm just writing down that to put up a link to your website on our website.
Perfect. I will send you that information.
Okay.
And then
All right,
also
thank
to
you.
what Ms. McGinnis was saying earlier, Municipal Home Rule Law, Article 5, Section 40, requires local municipality to get state legislators' approval before it does anything with its land or its parkland. So understand, everyone, this is a process, and we're not talking about alienating the property yet. We're talking about literally just asking permission if we decide to in the future.
This gentleman right here.
Kevin Martinson, 311 East Penn Street. Thank you. You're saying you're transparent, but to be honest with you, I haven't seen any transparency because nobody that I've spoken to in this town, and I speak to a lot of people because I have a lot of time on my hands, and nobody knows about this. Nobody knows what's going on with this. Nobody knew that these wires are coming on our beach, down Broadway, up Lincoln, and people are really upset about this because we don't trust a company like, what's the name, Ecuador? We don't trust a company like Ecuador saying, hey, it's safe, it's okay. We're not going to cause cancer. How many times have we heard that? How many times have you heard the cigarette companies say, hey, cigarettes are safe, don't worry about it, it's not going to cause cancer? Now, are you guys, where is Exhibit A, by the way? There was a reference to Exhibit A that was supposed to be up here for a referendum 16.
So Exhibit A was provided on the tabletop. It wasn't.
Because it's supposed to be for public record, right?
It's also available on the website, and Exhibit A is the actual meets and bounds. Exhibit A tells you the exact path that we're looking to alienate the parkland for.
It's in the backup document that is on the website and also in the updated agenda that's on the website as well.
Well, to be honest, I think Exhibit A should be really up here in big letters so everybody can see it because it's public record. And can I also say something else? That this should be tabled until Exhibit A is up here on the floor on a big poster. This should be tabled. Now, has this ever been done before in a community? Have we ever had wires run from windmills through a city? Has that ever happened?
No, Block Island.
Okay. Construction. How long are we going to deal with construction in this town? I mean, it is going on forever. It's out of control. The construction, now we have to deal with construction for this? Now, you guys are saying right now that we have to do this because the state's going to run it down our throats. Well, we voted for you, so you fight the state. I want you, why aren't we getting News 12 in here? Why isn't this stuff in the Herald? Why isn't this stuff on the news? Nobody knows about this. Nobody. You don't see anything on the news about this. It's been very quiet. Nobody in Island Park knows about it. Everyone's just coming up to speed right now. So forgive me. You guys ran on transparency, and I voted for a lot of you. I really did. And I believed in you. But you haven't been transparent with us. And I appreciate you do have families in this town. But we need you right now to fight this because nobody wants this in this town. It was supposed to go through Brooklyn. It was supposed... Thank you. It was supposed to go through Brooklyn. Why is it not going through Brooklyn anymore? Why are we letting them? Why are we letting them do this to us? And my last question, and I'll go. My last question, one question, okay? Where is the $65,000 that you guys are receiving? Where is that coming from? Is that coming from Ecuador to do you guys are getting $65,000?
What?
First of all, I don't know what $65,000 you're referring to.
It's right here. You guys are asking for Mr. Lupa, you're asking for $65,000?
So basically, that's a request for intervenor funds, right? So yes, we're requesting $65,000.
From whom?
It's actually a bond that Ecuador puts up.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Wait.
So to answer your question, sir.
Joe.
So just so people understand, part of the Article 7 process requires the company that wants to do this to put money in what's called an intervenor fund. And what that is that's for people who are parties to the process. You can sign up to be a party. The city is a party to the process. We can tap into those intervenor funds so we can hire legal experts and technical experts to advise us on this so the taxpayers don't have to pay for it. It comes from the company. The company funds us to be able to hire our own technical and legal experts on this issue. So that is actually a good thing, unless the taxpayers want to foot the bill for this. So,
Whatever.
I'm sorry, but that's...
John, don't engage.
That's all right. Ms. Kramer.
Hi. Christina Kramer, 361 East Broadway. So he's right that there is intervenor funds, but you asked for it in 2017. Did you get it? It shouldn't take 5 years to know whether or not you got it. The intervenor funds that they're talking about now, there's $100,000.
Right.
And Island Park has asked for $40,000, and from what I understand, there's no other people asking. So where is that $65,000 from 2017, and have you hired the proper consultants to find out the information they were supposed to look for?
Yeah, I believe we're eligible for $50,000 of the intervenor funds.
No, that was 2017.
That's
$65,000.
I know nothing about us getting $65,000 in 2017.
Well, it was asked for.
I don't know.
I'm just
That's
saying I saw the
before- That's
paperwork
before any
myself.
of us were on the council, so if,
Okay, so my next thing is that I was one of the people who posted and called out each and every one of the council members that I could remember, and I put up number 16 on the agenda tonight because I saw it and I didn't understand what it was. It seems to me that you could have alleviated a lot of tension and trouble if you would have just put a post on the Long Beach City page explaining what you just did tonight, because I didn't understand that's what it was, and that's why everybody's here. We all got nervous and,
So let me take responsibility for that. During a pre-meeting for this and the planning about this and just talking about legal issues, I was actually asked to have Corporation Counsel write the memorandum that you have today. I forgot. To be quite frankly, I just forgot to have that
Well, you
done.
could understand
It
why we
doesn't
would
change
freak.
the outcome. So for all of you that are here tonight, because you didn't understand exactly what this is, I bear some of the responsibility for that, not the council. So that was my fault, and it's been a busy couple of weeks, and that's no excuse. You're right. Everyone in the room deserved better than that. It won't happen again. But we're explaining it now and trying to give the public everything they need to know to actually understand what this is about.
Fair enough. Okay, as far as the Q&A sessions, I attended two Q&A sessions in the first week of March. I attended a presentation in Island Park, and I've also been closely following Island Park Equinor Facebook page and the Windmills and Saltwater Scam Group, where I found a wealth of information on this turbine project. So first, I would like to encourage everyone to join these groups. High voltage power lines are planned to be placed in the residential streets of Long Beach. Those lines will cradle my family home with my husband and two sons on two sides. I called in the Q&A meeting and asked specifically where they will gut the streets and drop the lines, and the speaker was not prepared to give me an answer. There was no electrical expert on the Equinor call session that was specific to the electrical lines. No one was capable of answering the questions I had about the potential health risks or case studies or residential areas that were proven successful under analogous conditions. When I asked about radiation and EMF risks, I was told this: they will follow federal guidelines, not that they were tested, not that they were safe. I was told it was like a toaster oven. Well, I don't run 395,000 volts of electric 24 hours a day, 365 days a year through my toaster oven or all of my appliances combined in a decade. I'm certain this is not a proper comparable, and the residents should not accept this response. I also asked any of the presenters on the call if they would like this in their home neighborhoods. None of them would respond. That spoke volumes to me. The only people benefiting from this destruction of our environment are Equinor, Norway, their shareholders, the politicians, and the municipalities that were promised funding, not the people in these communities. There are countless trillions available to reroute this if you must continue this project at all. Us residents are terrified about the health risks and the fact that our neighborhoods will become terrorist targets.
All right.
Why not drop explosives? I got 30 seconds.
that's not fair to the other people. I'm
I
sorry.
sat and listened to the first woman for 10 minutes.
Don't let her.
The wires are going to be 3 to 5 feet under the ground. That's exactly the place where somebody might want to take out the grid. It's unsafe, unhealthy, and these experts know it. When purchasing a home in a rural area, the first thing you do is look to see where the overhead power lines are so that you're safe distance away from the dangers and health risks from being in close proximity. All right, I'm going to finish. I'll put it on the Facebook page, guys. Please read it there.
Yeah,
Thank you for your
that's
time.
fine. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, just a follow-up, I guess, Joe, you had mentioned that for signing up for the oral commentary for the call Thursday's closed, but you can submit written comments. So they still accept written comments. So let's go with that gentleman right there.
Bill Phillips, 61 Oregon Street. I just want to be clear about one thing, what we're doing tonight.
Just raise the mic. Just raise the mic first. Thank you very much.
So tonight we're conducting a vote to allow you guys to take control or the state to take control. That's all we're voting for tonight,
Or
right?
prevent the state from having
Right.
control over Long Beach, yeah.
So if we vote you guys to take control, and you win control, do you have the sole ability, do you people have the sole ability to shoot this thing down 100% or allow it? I just want to be clear on that. And my follow-up question is this, or is this thing coming like a freight train right now, and either the state gets control of it or you guys get control of it, but it's coming anyway? That's my follow-up question.
So you want to go? Go ahead, John.
Well, I was just going to say, if we try to stop it, so we take this vote and then we try to stop it, the way the state law is, the state can override us.
Right, so even if we give you control, you say, okay, we got control, we're going to go against the state, and the state's going to say, you guys are done.
The state can.
They could.
That's the way the law is written.
They could.
To the mic, Mike.
Just as a feel thing, do you think this thing's coming either way? And if so, are we really here to, like, you guys take control or the state, and it's just kind of like a buffer? You know, you guys will take control, but at the end of the day, is this thing coming anyway?
Well, look, they're in the, so there's separate issues. Is a offshore wind farm coming? Probably. If it's not Equinor, there are a dozen other projects being planned around Long Island and New Jersey. So they're coming.
I believe one was
Where
just
the
agreed to.
wire runs, that's not decided yet. That's still in the comment period right now.
Yep.
So I would encourage people to submit written comments to the Public Service Commission.
Yeah, I mean, if this thing's coming anyway, I think all of us and all of you should get together and figure out a way to stop it, you know? And, you know, we'll do petitions or whatever. We'll go to New York State, we'll go to Albany, whatever it takes, but I think all of us should be in unison here and trying to figure this out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this gentleman over here.
Hi, my name is Mike Jacobs, and I represent the voting part of this.
Can you give your
And that's
address?
something, what's that?
You need to speak into the microphone.
I represent another faction of this, which is the people like me that use the ocean, that have the gift of an ocean that's beautiful, that every one of you have been gifted as well. And I am telling you, there is no doubt that what we are going to do to our oceans and what we are going to see happen is a crime against the children that you have and the children they're going to have. If you study this program, I did start that page, Windmills and Salt Water, and I will tell you, if the public, including all of you, and believe it or not, including all of them, truly understand what it's like to build windmills creating electricity miles away from the source where it's being used, blowing the ocean apart to put thousands of miles of cables underground, running it through places, building substations now in the oceans themselves. And if you think it's impossible that we can be this wrong, think about a word called Shoreham. Shoreham Nuclear Power Plant, budgeted for $280 million. It was supposed to take 3 years. It took 11 years, and it cost $6 billion. And then they sold it to Lilco for $1, and it never produced one electric light bulb. I am telling all of you that if you think it's impossible for this wonderful audience to be here because they say no, you cannot negotiate with something that's wrong. You're starting on a premise that's flawed. You're starting on a premise looking every one of you in the eye. You know what it was like to look at that ocean in Long Beach. You knew how beautiful it was. And if you think it's going to be the same by the time these people are done with it, you are wrong. Yes, green energy, it's wonderful. Every home make them put solar panels on their roofs. But don't, and by the way, these are good people, but in my opinion, as human beings separately, when they go to sleep at night, some of them know that they're involved with something that's not right. But they've got their 401k plan, they've got their bonus, and they have to move forward. I'm asking everyone on this council, not in this meeting, but in the quiet time when you're by yourself, if this is what you want to leave to your children and destroy the legacy that you were given by your mothers and fathers, because that's what you're going to do.
Gentleman back here in the corner.
Good evening. Kevin Syme, 10 Monroe Boulevard.
Good evening.
It seems that it's somewhat of a foregone conclusion already, being that Pops has been bought up, and then the Leota yard has been bought up, with a lot of money spent there, with the straight line being right through the middle of Long Beach. Has anybody considered maybe going to the other side of Nickerson Beach or somewhere where there's some vacant land over there and making a turn where it's not running right through the middle of Long Beach? Those are public beaches, but there's no one living there from day to day to day. So has that been brought up or been thought about at all? Well, that's my question. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So. Okay. This gentleman over here.
Good evening. My name is Richard Shuren. I live in Island Park, but I own property in Long Beach, 118 Maple. I grew up in Long Beach. I'm also a committee member of the Island Park Civic Association, and I've been involved in this issue for quite a while. I just want to say something. I think the people deserve to know where we are in the process, which I think hasn't been made clear. The process is well along. Where we are now is there are going to be settlement conferences with the parties. And I know the City of Long Beach is a party, and our Civic Association is a party. And every couple of weeks, we're going to have a settlement conference where we try to iron out the issues. And that is where the negotiation is going to take place. I don't want the people here to think that there's a separate forum or anything like that where decisions are going to be made. In fact, the decisions are going to be made in that process, in the settlement process, which is confidential, which involves the parties and Equinor, which is taking place almost immediately. In fact, there was a settlement conference scheduled for last week that got put off, but it's going to start very soon. So the people should know that. It's also the case that there are a couple of alternate routes that are within the application, some of them going through Nickerson. But the main route, the preferred route, is the one that we've spoken about. It's my understanding, based upon what I've studied and what I've been told, that the AOJs in the Article 7 proceeding will decide what the route will be. And it's within those negotiations that the parties, including the City of Long Beach and others, will try to negotiate a settlement that could possibly change the route. But it's within that process that the route will be selected and decided. And as I said, I actually went to almost all of the Equinor meetings that have been taking place, and years ago, they were selecting the routes. And then they made a decision, and this was the decision that they made. So respectfully, I mean, the time to have input into the route selection was probably years ago. But where we are now is we have to try to convince the state that the route that's been selected is not the appropriate route, and that's going to be a tough battle, just so you know. That's my opinion. So well, with that said, there is still a lot to be achieved, in my opinion, going forward. For example, what I understand you're doing today is you're trying to permit the state to give you authority to give them permission to use your beach park. And then my understanding of what will likely happen then is there will be a negotiation where perhaps you'll be offered a lot of money for that right. But as you say, the state has to first give you that right. But as far as the selection of, and I hope you get that, but as far as the selection of the route, I do not believe that you have the authority to dictate where the route is going to be. That's my understanding. And by the way, our civic association has had public meetings that have been widely attended. We have one coming up on March 30th. We would invite anyone from Long Beach to come where we present all the information that we know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I see a hand in the back of the room there. Oh, it's Ron.
Are you cold?
Hello.
Hello.
Ron Paganini, Long Beach. East Hampton, they wanted to give it to East Hampton, the town, and they refused. That's like a year and a half, 2 years ago. But, if we were going to use the electricity, whatever, I would say whatever. If we want it, but we don't want it. But Watermill, the little town out east, they want it. It's a very small town. It's going to go to their beach, to their people, and they can get radiated. You know what I'm saying? So we don't want to get radiated. We're not getting the benefits. So like he said about the routes, just go down a little, hang a right, and leave my fish alone. I'm a fisherman. I want to catch them on a hook, right? I just don't want, so if they get radiated, they would glow at night and I can scoop them up. But really, it's a serious thing here. All right.
Thank you, Ron.
Okay, thanks, Ron. And actually, Ron, just as an FYI, as you're walking back, actually the Hamptons did enter an agreement with the wind company out there. They got $22,400,000.
Yep, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hamptons did, yeah.
Is Southampton though?
It was South, right? I believe it was Southampton.
So it's just a point of information, that's all. So, all right, any other comments? Over here.
How's it going? Eric Lind, 21 Arizona. At risk of repeating everyone's sentiment here today, I just wanted to ask you, what is our best bet, and do you have any plans, noting maybe the public backlash of today, to try to at least alter the route, at best stop this thing from coming, full swing? I appreciate that. We're trying to get the control from the city, from the state today, which is a great first step, but we all see that with the Equinor people already being here, where this is going. So what is the steps that you plan on taking to stop this progression?
Well, Joe is a lawyer. He's representing us in this internally, and like I said, once we get access to the intervenor funds, we'll be hiring legal experts in this field, as well as technical experts, and then to the previous
With all due
speakers-
respect, sorry, with all due respect, we all kind of maybe are a little jagged to the, expert terms, because everyone's kind of for sale, and with big energy, that's on both sides of the ball with oil and clean energy. I'm a little concerned with the experts we bring in to give a fair shake to the people.
Well, the contrary to that is then don't hire experts and we make it up as we go. I mean, the whole point is we're trying to inform ourselves so we make good decisions to represent the people of this city. And unfortunately, there is a political process that's part of this that we have to play in that sandbox. And that's what we're starting to do here with this. And as the previous speaker talked about the settlement conferences, that's why the city signed up to be a party to this, so we could be part of those settlement negotiations. So we're doing what we can within the framework of the law.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, person right here.
Hi, everybody. I'm here today representing...
Please state your name and address for the
My name is
record.
Casey Petrashik, and I'm here representing the New York League of Conservation Voters, or NYLCV for short. NYLCV is a statewide environmental advocacy organization that is committed to renewable energy and a clean energy future for New York. I might add, we have many members here in Long Beach. Thank you for providing this opportunity to comment today. Offshore wind is a top priority for us because it's an important step towards achieving our clean energy goals for the state. We need 70% renewable energy by 2030 and 100% clean energy by 2040. These policy commitments must be turned into reality, and we need localities to help in that endeavor. We know fighting climate change is important to many Long Beach residents and our members because Long Beach is on the front lines of climate change. Without transition from a fossil fuel industry, rising sea levels threaten Long Beach's way of life. The offshore wind is a critical part of meeting the challenges of climate change, like flooding, which is an obviously major issue here. And that's why I urge you to support this critical industry. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any more questions or comments from the public? All right. Oh, at a last second entrant.
Good evening. My name is Adrian Esposito, Executive Director of Citizens Campaign for the Environment. You absolutely need to vote yes. Why would you give up your voice? If Long Beach City gives up their voice, the public has less of a voice. What I'm hearing from the public is they want more of a voice. So, people saying just say no is undermining your ability to represent them in this very complicated process. That makes no sense to me. This is a complicated process that involves federal agencies, NOAA, BOEM, state agencies, NYSERDA, the PSC, and everything else. So you have an obligation to be engaged and involved as Long Beach City leaders and represent the City of Long Beach constituency as best you can. You give up that voice, you've given up way too much. And I'm not 100% sure everyone, kind of understands that. I know they're upset with the project, but if you put that over here and just go to what the process is, you need to keep yourselves engaged in this process. This is at the very beginning stages. There's, Empire Wind 1 and there's Empire Wind 2, and yes, it is. Sorry to disagree with you, but that's the fact. Empire Wind 1 is going to Brooklyn. Empire Wind 2 is supposed to go into Nassau County. This is a big project. There are a lot of details. There is a lot to be worked out here. But representation of the public is important. I've gone to a lot of community meetings. I'm sorry to hear that other folks didn't know about them. I'll help, publicize the ones in the future to help get the word out even more. But this is, it's new science, it's new technology, and I know there's a lot of questions about it, as there should be. That's perfectly fine. But we also, offshore wind might be new to America, but Europe has been using it for 30 years. So offshore wind, new to America, but it's not new. And there can be no transition without transmission. So everyone says, I want to have green energy. Well, we need to find a way to plug it in and bring it into the grid here. We should do that in the most environmentally and economic way possible, but we need to do that. Because when we say no to wind, we are saying yes to our continued addiction to fossil fuels. And for the most part, foreign fossil fuels. For those people who don't like Denmark and Norway, who we have great relationships with, maybe you prefer all those other countries that are selling us oil and natural gas, who use our money, who hate us. That's not a good, geopolitical scenario either.
All right, a little decorum.
Hey, buddy, I didn't do it to you.
Ladies and gentlemen,
do it to me.
if it continues,
Put a zipper on it.
ladies and gentlemen, if you continue to yell out, I will have a police officer come in and remove you. Please remain decorum and be respectful to the people at the podium. Please. Everybody's got their chance. We've been very accommodating. Thank you.
I have thousands of members in the city of Long Beach, and I'm representing them. And these are people who really, truly believe in the transition and are concerned about the vulnerabilities to Long Beach. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, I see a hand back there.
Amber Goodridge, Long Beach.
A little closer to the mic.
Amber Goodridge, Long Beach. I'm just a little concerned or confused. I just had a question about the actual resolution tonight. You said that if you vote yes, it gives the city power and control over this. If you vote no, what happens then? So I kind of coming late into this, and I'm reading the resolution, and it says, gives the requesting New York the authority to discontinue the use of the Parkland. So what does that mean? And is it permanent or temporary?
Temporary.
Because it says permanent and temporary in the language. And then the follow-up question is it at the sole discretion of the city council, of you guys, if we do that?
So, all right, I'll address the control thing first. So, again, the way it works, if we vote yes on this, that means we want to take control and have a say in the routing process. If we don't vote yes, what that does is it's basically abdicating that to the state. And then later on, if we decide we want to try to stop it, for example, in effect, they can legally use eminent domain to take the land. The state allows them to do that. That's, you may not like the process, but that's the process the state set up. So, so in regard to that now.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm going to say the same
Oh,
thing.
all right. So I hope that answered your question.
Not really, because the language just says that
It's
the
lawyerese.
language doesn't sound like that. The language.
I mean, he could
I'm not a
the
lawyer,
problem
but
is.
the
I'm sorry.
language
I'm
sounds
sorry.
like
So,
it's.
with respect to your question, the permanent alienation, the permanent alienation of the land where we wouldn't be using the land anymore, that's 30 to 90 feet below ground. So even though, we own the parkland, and we think of the parkland as a beach, like the sand that we play on, we own everything down to
So
like
it is
core.
permanent
Yes,
allocation.
It is a permanent allocation below the surface.
Forever.
Yes.
A good example is if you've been to the beach in the center of town, there's a gas pipeline that runs under the beach from New Jersey. It's been there for decades. A lot of people probably don't even know it's there. It's a huge gas pipeline that runs under the beach.
Yeah,
People
but
put
we've
their
never
blankets
had-
on top of that thing every day in the summer and probably don't even notice it. Now, I'm not using that to justify that. I'm just saying
It's there.
it doesn't take away the beach.
There was a
from-
parkland alienation for that.
Right. It doesn't take the beach away from the public to use.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? All right. See. Oh. Okay.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water.
Tracy Flynn, 517 West Walnut. We're talking about getting control, so we have a decision. When do we find out if we have the control from the state?
Well, it's not that we get the state can overrule the city at any time. What we're doing is we're telling the state we want to have control of the process as much as we can, and then it goes into, as was mentioned earlier, these settlement conferences, these public comment periods coming up where there'll be input provided there.
So no matter what, we have to go into the settlement and this is going to happen. It's whether we can say which route it takes or not. Is that the bottom line?
Well, I mean, people can certainly provide input to the Public Service Commission saying, take it across, to some other people said, take it across Nickerson or go up to Jones Beach Inlet.
So when do we find out about that decision?
If it's still on Thursday, There are 2 sessions with
Right.
public.
But that's when the decision comes back?
No.
That's still, they're still open for comment.
No, the way it
The
works
administra-
is the administrative, the judge that is assigned will run the session, take public input, people will provide input. When it's all said and done, that judge then makes what they feel is a determination and hands that over to the State Public Service Commission. It's the State Public Service Commission that ultimately decides. But they will take input from the judge. In theory, they should take input from the city. They should take input from all the parties that have signed up. So,
And approximately how long before we find out about this?
That's
that
up
I
to the
can't
judge.
answer.
So there's no time limit on this?
Yeah, it's just,
Before we know if we even have a say on the route?
well, once we take this vote, we're telling the state we want to say. The actual decision of the route, there's no specific
So we don't, but
timeline for that.
we don't know if we're even going to have a say, is what I'm saying. It's still
Well,
got to be
that's
determined.
what
So
we're-
we don't know when that decision is going to come down, so we'll know
No.
if we even have a say.
What we're voting tonight is to have the say.
Right.
The actual decision on the routing of the cable, there's no fixed date when that happens.
But when do we know that we're accepted to have that input? That when do we know that the state said,
Oh,
okay,
I see.
you can be taken
So-
in and you can have
so let me
that
try this.
input considered?
Let me try this. The state legislature, by the end of this session, is going to take a vote. And they're going to vote whether or not the city of Long Beach Park alienation bill is approved. The governor then signs it or vetoes it. At the end of that process, if the state legislature says okay, and the governor signs the bill, the city of Long Beach has just said, we want local control to say, state, give us local control. The state goes through their process. When they take that vote, if they say yes, we have local control.
Right, but we don't know when that vote's going to come through to
Before
find
the end of the
out.
session.
Their session ends in the end of May or beginning of June, the state session up in Albany. So if-
That's what I needed to know. What
Right.
is the time span so that we even know if we are considered
So
to have anything to say?
our state senator and our state assemblyman will be voting on this matter.
So wouldn't it be a good idea for us to get all our neighbors involved to turn around and make sure we have a say so that at least we know we can go somewhere with this?
I think there's a misunderstanding here.
Okay.
I think what you're talking about is when is the decision about the route? What they're going to vote
No,
on,
not about the route. When we have a say. Tonight is about whether we're going to have a say with the state, yes?
Right, yes.
Whether the state's going to take it from us or whether we have a say.
no, when you say we have a say,
A say.
that does not overcome Article 7. We have a say whether we will allow our beach to be alienated.
Right.
Okay? If we say no, if we don't take that vote, they do what, the state can move forward. If we say we want that, they still have Article 7 and can still say, we want to do this route. Okay? So please don't get those two confused.
But when do we find out, is what I'm saying. You're telling me probably
Well,
around the
home rule-
summertime is when we have
Yeah,
this.
home rule should be decided by the end of the session, and that's usually a given. If a city wants home rule, they usually get it. That's not where the fight's going to come in. That's not something that really is, is going to change anything here. What's going to change is when they start coming down with the route. Okay? That's a totally different thing.
So we're not going to have a say then?
No, we will have a say, but we don't have the final say. And that's what you have to understand. And I think John explained it, that Pete,
So I'm just confused tonight then, if we're here to decide whether we're going to go and ask for a say with the state, right? Isn't that what this meeting was about?
about the beach land, yes.
Right,
A
yes.
say
That's it.
on the beach land.
Right.
That's it.
So that's what I wanted to know. When does that decision come back?
the-
And you're telling me probably in the summertime?
By the end of the session, theoretically.
And that's what I'm saying. When does the session end? So the session ends usually by
In
the summer.
June.
May, June, yeah.
June. Thank you. That was my question. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. This woman right here.
Hi, my name's Noelle Donahue. I live on Shore Road. Should you get this control over our beach rights, what are your intentions moving forward? I'd like to know what this council plans to do with this project. Do you have any intention of fighting this? I mean, right now, I took a walk on the beach today, and I'm looking at those 3 massive buildings going up, one of them quite close to Riverside. You have thousands of new people coming into this city, utilizing our beaches and the park, the beach park, and the boardwalk, and now you're going to shut down a beach for a project. I'm very concerned about that. I have grandchildren that live in this city. I'm very concerned about these high voltage cables. I really want to know what our city council plans to do about this.
To be honest, there's so much that has not been disclosed yet. But even the route. I'm sorry, I can't understand you. Yes.
What I think we as citizens are entitled to know is how far has this conversation gotten?
Not very far. Not very far.
And you're discussing routes.
No.
No, we're not even discussing routes. We are not even discussing routes at this point. We are discussing just where it comes in at the beach, what they have requested where it comes in at the beach.
Well, I will tell you respectfully.
Yes.
The conversation should never have gotten this far, in my opinion. We should not be discussing any of this. That wind farm does not belong off our beach. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? This gentleman right here.
Evening. I'm Rob McWilliams from Long Beach. First, thank you for elaborating on what tonight's vote is about and taking questions and listening to concerns. So it sounds like what you're about to do is vote on whether or not you want to have a voice and then set out to commission a report, hire experts, and make a determination on whether or not this makes sense to do. I agree, but I would also ask that you look out the window. If you look out the window, you'll see a coal-fired power plant, a landfill, 2 landfills, and a sewage treatment plant, all built over wetlands. All have created environmental catastrophes over the past decades, and all of which have either been shut down or are in the process of being shut down. And I think we've learned a lot over the past decades. For example, we have a sewage treatment plant that occasionally releases untreated human waste into our bay. It's damaged the landfills release methane into the air. The power station and sewage plants have damaged our waterways and our bays, affected our quality of life, and we're just getting to the point where we're cleaning all of that up, and we've recognized the harm that we've done. And as we're doing that, we're contemplating doing something like this, which is the next generation of harm that we're going to do to our community. And we don't know, with respect, as you said, what the damage could be. I think all of these projects that have happened over the decades have a couple things in common. One, they've created considerable harm, and the other is they were approved by people like yourselves who sat in chairs like the ones that you're sitting in now and said, it's a good idea. So all we ask is that we don't do something that I think is proven over time is not a good idea.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? All right. I see a maybe. You want to say something? Okay. After she's done. Did he?
Not him,
Yeah.
this woman. Yeah, he
Okay.
doesn't come up again.
All right.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Terry Raddock.
Into
And,
the mic, please.
Name
hi.
and address?
I heard that you've been dredging for this project already out in the water. I mean, I have seen a lot of cranes, and actually at Lido West, I saw this summer, they were doing something. Something's going on behind the community's back.
Oh, that's...
And it has been. And I don't understand how this can happen. And then all of a sudden, we're having meetings with Ecuador, who we don't even know who those people are. We're going to put high voltage wires through our little city here. This is a little teeny barrier island. This isn't a place for this. There are many other places that they can put these windmills. And, you know, I understand you're up against the state and they want to do it here and blah, 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 blah. But what is the future for everybody here, health-wise? And at the end of the day, is it really going to give us the energy that they say that it's going to give us when I hear Brooklyn is going to get the energy or this one's going to get the energy? You know, there's a big problems, and we should all go and do solar panels, which also has its problems with its chips ripping up our rainforests. I mean, it's good and then it's bad. And, you know, I don't know if at the end of the day this is going to really make anything better, or if it's just going to be like the Oceanside dump, or like they said, the sewer plants that back up into our little town and poison us. How much more poison can we have here? It's a teeny little barrier island. Why are they picking on us? When you have, I mean, we have a whole land all over the place. They want our little barrier island. It just feels like there's a lot of things going on behind everybody's back, and now we're all getting hit with it, that this has been going on since 2017. I've seen them behind my house working. They're doing something back there with big giant cranes, digging deep, and this was like 3-4 years ago. I didn't know what it was, and couldn't get an answer from anybody, but now that we're all here, I think we have a good idea what they've been doing. This is a project, it's been going on for a long time. I mean, I live on the beach, I see it. So all you people could sit here and say, no, 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 but I'm there, I'm watching it. And they're doing something. I don't know what, but it doesn't look good. They're digging deep down holes. I mean, they said it was a well. It wasn't a well. 3 years ago, 3 summers ago, I think it was. They had me up all night. They had big lights in the back. This is Lido West. So, you know, I don't know. I hope that we can all fight this and give it to somebody who isn't such a great community like this with so many people.
Okay, you need to wrap up. Your time has expired, but thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay. All right. So let's, so close.
Hey there, guys. I'm going to make it real quick. My name's Gloriana. I've been to every Equinor meeting, and I still have a question, and I'd like to ask them if that's okay.
We're talking about the agenda.
Yeah, this is kind of, we're focusing on what we're trying to do here so we can get some control in this.
Yeah.
So you're welcome to talk to them.
Yeah, so it's about the offshore substation, and it's going to require ocean water to come up to cool it down. So the electric will be, it's to cool it down to arrive to our shores, right? And so my question to them is, how many gallons of water does it take per day?
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to have that conversation with them to decide, because that's got nothing to do with what we're here to talk about tonight.
Okay.
So,
all right.
but they're
just
here.
Because I
Take
heard that it
advantage.
takes
They're
3
here.
million
Ask them.
gallons per day, and it shoots out 90-degree water. So it's going to affect our shores.
Again, they're here. You can discuss that with them. All right. Jim, really?
Oh, Jim.
Jim Kirkland, Long Beach. I'm curious. There's a corridor which exists right off at the end of Riverside, and it's basically a transatlantic corridor that's been created. And there's so many other things that come in. Is that really the only reason they're picking that spot to land? That's why I'm wondering. I mean, if that wasn't there,
It actually
would
can't
they
be
be
the same
somewhere
spot.
else instead
Yeah,
of
they
in Long
can't go,
Beach?
they can't go near the gas line.
That what?
They cannot go near the gas line.
No, but there's there's thousands of
There are a lot of things
acres.
underneath. There are a lot of things underneath the beachfront.
They what?
There's a lot of things underneath the beachfronts. You
Yeah, I'm just curious
You
as
have
to
a
what-
fiber optic cable that goes from here
there's
to
a lot
Plorin,
of
France
stuff.
for telephone communication. There's stuff all over underneath the beach. So they can't use the same pathway. They
No,
have to use their own.
no, but it's like a court. It's like a huge, wide driveway, in a sense. So what I'm saying is, if that didn't exist, would they even be looking here, or would they be down in Lido, or down in Point Lookout?
So the question you're asking is path, right?
Yeah, the path. Is,
We don't determine
No, I
the
know we
path.
don't, but
They determine their path.
Yeah,
The
but
company determines what's the viable path. We are then engaged in deciding whether or not they are addressing the needs of this community with that path, and we want to have the local control,
Of course.
not the
No, I
state, to
understand
decide
that.
whether or not they get to go
Understand.
across our parkland.
no, I'm just thinking, if that didn't exist, would they be somewhere else, and we wouldn't have this issue at all?
It's really a question for them, not,
Yeah, all right, then I'll ask them. Anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think we're going to move on to the
agenda.
The rest of the agenda now.
Okay.
So our first item this evening is a public hearing for an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding motor vehicles and traffic.
Do you want to just give 3 minutes for people to get out?
All right.
Was it a hearing? It was a hearing?
Yeah, this is a
Wasn't
hearing.
it was a hearing? Yeah, so close the hearing.
So I'm going to...
Dave?
No,
That was not a
wasn't
hearing. No, that was
Dave?
I'm going to...
Do you want to just, John? Do you just want to give
Oh, no, this
3
isn't a
minutes
hearing
for
yet.
the people to clear out so we can hear?
What?
Do you want to give 2 minutes for the people to clear out so we could hear?
No.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to open the hearing on this item. And who are we going to hear from on this? Joe? Okay.
The school bus, yeah. Sorry, I had to get back on the agenda. Everybody should be going.
Good evening, everyone. So, Vehicle and Traffic Law, Section 1174, is what we call an empowering statute. And what it does is it empowers local municipalities to create a stop arm bus camera system. So, essentially, when the stop arm comes out and the stop signs come out from a school bus, in order to, or for the purpose of preventing people from going around the school bus, the state is allowing us to create this program where we could hire a contractor to put cameras on the side of the bus, and then that
Joe,
way...
Joe, hang on just for... Can you please take your conversations out into the hallway, please? So we can continue on? Thank you.
So similar to like a red light camera, these cameras would be on the side of school buses, and if somebody passes by while the stop arm and the stop sign are out, it would capture the image of the vehicle, the plate number, and they would be fined. So what this agenda item is for is actually our local ordinance to be added to Section 15, Article 7, I believe it is. Yes, I'm sorry. In order to create the program here, as well as impose the fines and penalties.
Okay, any questions from the council members? All right, seeing none. Any comments from the public? All right, seeing none, we'll close the hearing. On to the next item.
On to the regular calendar. Item 1 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding motor vehicles and traffic. A hearing has been held on this item already. Item 2 is a resolution authorizing and approving a master agreement with Bus Patrol America, LLC.
I assume it's you again, Joe?
It's me again.
The contract.
Okay, so when the state provided, enacted Vehicle and Traffic Law 1174, Nassau County actually adopted the program. Then with that, Town of Hempstead adopted the program. A ton of local municipalities adopted the program. But the reason why this is relevant regarding Town of Hempstead is because Town of Hempstead piggybacked off of the Dutchess County agreement. So you could piggyback off of another municipal contract if Number one, the contract permits it. It literally says that it can be piggybacked off of, excuse me. And number two, they go through a competitive bidding process. Dutchess County satisfied both of those requirements, and Town of Hempstead they piggybacked first, and then the Long Beach City School District opted in to the Town of Hempstead program. Now, the reason why that's relevant is because under this agreement, all the cameras, also under the law, all the cameras on the school buses are to be paid for by the municipality. So now, essentially, the City of Long Beach School District, their buses already have cameras because they opted into Town of Hempstead, and Town of Hempstead already installed all the cameras on their school buses. However, the City of Long Beach School District, their buses operate not only in the Town of Hempstead, but in the City of Long Beach. So we want to enter into the same agreement. We want to piggyback off of the Dutchess County agreement also, because again, if we used a different provider, then we would essentially be asking the school district to install two separate sets of cameras onto their buses, which isn't feasible. And in addition, Bus Patrol already won in Dutchess County, and they provided the best rate. It's a 55%, 45% split, meaning that 55% of the proceeds of any violations come to the city, 45% goes to Bus Patrol. Also, I'm sorry, we're not out of pocket for anything. So any upfront costs is paid for by Bus Patrol. Anything with respect to any money that we have to pay back, it comes out of the 55% fines, 55% of the fines that we collect. And if at the end of the contract, if by some chance we haven't paid back all the money, we still don't go out of pocket. They actually just eat the loss. So it's really a kind of a no-brainer situation because it's not going to cost us anything, and yet we'd still be able to make our children safer by putting these cameras on our buses, as well as collect fines automatically for people that go around school buses. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions from the council?
Yes, Joe, the master agreement that we would be entering into, we haven't seen that yet, have we?
It's right here.
Yeah, they sent it to us.
Yeah, you had it part of the backup.
The master agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the master agreement that was sent to you.
I think they sent it to us Thursday or Friday.
Yes, it was.
You have it.
Yes, I have a copy of the master agreement.
Okay.
So now what I call the master agreement is our City of Long Beach agreement between us and Bus Patrol. That's how I defined it in our contract. If what you're referencing, which I believe you are, is the Dutchess County agreement, the piggybacked agreement?
That enter into a master agreement with the city under the terms and conditions that is same or better than those set forth in the Dutchess County agreement. So is what you sent us, because I never saw it, is what you sent us the same type of agreement as the Dutchess County agreement?
100% it is, because now remember, this is a piggybacked agreement, right?
Right.
So we can't materially alter the terms, the pricing. So yes, it is. Basically, what our contract does is it replaces certain terms. So for example, in the Dutchess County agreement, there's reference to the...
You already sent that. It's the same thing as the Dutchess County agreement.
Yes.
All right, I just
Okay.
got a copy.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's 29 pages.
Yeah, I never got it.
He's looking at it.
And certainly not in the backup.
No, we sent it after the...
Okay. Any other questions from the council? All right, seeing none, but from the pub, okay. Yeah. You have to come up to the mic. That's okay. We're friendly.
You have to come to the mic.
Julia Lopez Motherway. I own a couple of properties, and the one I'm at now is 979.
Can you stand up closer to the mic?
Julia Lopez Motherway. I own a couple of properties. The one I'm residing in right now is 979 Oceanfront. So it's not a big question, but I just came to my mind because I have little ones, one in elementary and one in middle school. The cameras are going to be all on the buses, even in middle school too?
All the buses that the school district owns and operates, so if it's elementary school buses, so long as they own and operate the buses, then yes.
They're already installed. They've been installed for the better part of a year.
Yeah,
That's
because my
correct.
daughter is in 6th grade, and there's a lot of things that happen with the bigger kids in like 6th, 7th, 8th. So that's why I was bringing this up.
These are
because-
external cameras on the street. They're not internal cameras.
Yeah, they're not in the bus.
These are to take pictures of cars that are passing the bus.
Right, these are to catch people that drive past the stop sign on the bus when the kids are getting off the bus.
Okay.
We don't want people driving past buses when kids are getting
Of
off.
course not, they do that all the time.
So this is to
Yeah.
catch those
Okay,
people
it's
that are doing
outside
that.
versus
No,
inside.
it's not inside the bus.
I was thinking mom head.
No, nothing like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, any other questions from the public? All right, seeing none, on to the next item.
Item 3 is a resolution ratifying the collective bargaining agreement between the Long Beach Civil Service Employees Association Part-Timer Unit and the City of Long Beach, and authorizing the acting city manager to execute same.
Nothing really to talk about. It's the MOU.
Okay, I guess, so, well.
The actual amendments to the
I guess
contract
I'll
was sent to the
just-
council, yeah.
Yeah, so what this is, what the city is doing is we're giving, the city has a large number of part-time employees that have worked for the city for years and years. What this is doing now is we're allowing them to start accruing some vacation time. They can get basically about 5 days of, well, it's not vacation, it's paid time off, so it's either sick time or vacation. And if they work 30 hours a week, they can get about 5 days a year. So that's all that this is basically doing. So, and they're also, one more thing, they're able to buy into the city's dental plan, but they have to pay 100% of the cost to do it.
So, Mr. Bendo, is this reflective of other CSEA contracts on Long Island?
I have no idea.
It is.
Okay.
So we're just catching up.
Okay. So, any comments or questions from the public? Oh, we got one?
John, questions from the council?
Oh, go ahead.
All right.
Read him before he gets up here.
Okay, does this give this gives the CSEA 2 holidays?
Correct.
2 holidays. Is that a new, that they did not get that before?
These are part-time.
Part-time employees got no benefits whatsoever before
Right,
this.
so when you say what this added, it also added the 2 holidays, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe
Yes.
it's whatever
All
it
right.
was,
I
Christmas
just
and
wondered.
4th of July, I think.
Yes.
Sean O'Neill, Long Beach CSEA. Just a quick thing. On behalf of the CSEA Executive Board and its members, we want to thank everyone on this council, the city manager, and Rich Barrios for supporting the unionization of our part-timers on this contract. Thank you, and vote yes.
Thank you, Sean.
Who was the last name that he mentioned? Rich who? Oh.
Gone and almost forgotten.
Rich who?
Never forgotten.
Mr. Hodge.
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street, here in this great city of Long Beach. I am always honored when we can do anything for our employees, CSEA, non-CSEA. I was a non-CSEA employee member for 5 years and was honored to serve for 23 years as a CSEA member, and I'm honored that I did that. But when we talk about, you said pay into 100% of their dental? What do you mean by that? Tell me.
They have the option of taking dental insurance, but they just have to pay for the coverage. But
So-
it's a much lower rate than they would get privately.
So they're getting a discount?
Yes.
Okay, because you said pay 100%. I'm like,
Well, they pay the city rate, which is a much lower rate than...
okay, I got you. All right, so I'm just standing in support of anything, right, for CSEA. What I will say is, even when I was a CSEA member, I always fought, and our great president and the executives, it is always good that people don't have to wait 8 years and 9 years. I think I'm not sure. I think it was, a lot of people wait too long, way too long. I would say just because we're doing this, it's great, but please don't let these, again, part-timers, because they have some status, wait for another 10 years or whatever until they're made whole and full-time CSEA members, union members. So again, I applaud you and thank you for giving them anything. If they're not getting anything, it's good to have 5 days, 4 days, something, right? Because they're not getting anything. But please don't say, well, you have something. Well, just be happy with your 5 days. Let's still not try to hold workers for 5 and 8 years before you give them full-time and full union authority and all of the benefits that come with it. All right? Again, thank you, and I say vote yes on this as soon as possible.
So I'll just add, did you want to address that? I know what you're going to say.
No,
We've been doing that. We've been converting as part-timers to full-timers since basically our administration took over. So we're already doing what you're talking about, James.
And it's dental and vision at the union member's sole cost and expense. So just want to clarify that.
All right, Ms. Lake. Yes.
Excuse me, Crystal Lake. Good evening again, and thank you for that incentive for the part-timers. I can say for a fact that yes, members of my family had worked as part-timers for almost 15 years, okay, with absolutely nothing. I would like to say that they're extremely hard-working individuals, and I recall during Hurricane Sandy, all of the young men and or women, especially the sanitation workers, who were friends with my son. He also worked for sanitation. I watched these young men pick up all that debris prior to those big trucks coming in. And I've personally witnessed those individuals with the Sandy cough. And they still continue to work. Because if they did not go to work, they would not get paid. And unfortunately, you know, I'm happy to see that there is progress moving forward for all of the part-timers. I would also hope that any other incentives that might be available, that they would be offered to them. Also, I try to encourage the part-timers to pay into their retirement as compared to declining it and then purchasing, as compared to purchasing at a later date. So this is wonderful to hear, and please continue. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. President Mooney?
Just a suggestion. Just tell them. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
I want to give a special shout out to our former Corp Counsel, Rich Berrios. Give him a round of applause. Rich was always fair with our union. He was always fair with me. We wish him and his family nothing but the best. Give him another round of applause. I want to commend this council. They have converted many people into full-time, especially sanitation. I commend them on the unionization here. And just to open this door that you've opened here, this is our new part-time president, and I'm going to let him introduce himself to you now.
My name is Jacoby Thomas, 26 Birch Court. Just wanted to thank you guys for the opportunity and let you know I'll do whatever I can to make sure we get these guys what they need. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and God bless.
All right, any other questions? All right, seeing none, since we have, Dave, since we have some of the CSCA people here, why don't we vote on this item now?
Okay. So item number 3 is a resolution ratifying the collective bargaining agreement between the Long Beach Civil Service Employees Association part-timer unit and the City of Long Beach, and authorizing the acting city manager to execute same. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Apostoli.
Yes, and I'm very happy to vote yes to give these dedicated workers access to these benefits that they very well deserve. So thank you. And yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes, and welcome aboard.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes, now you can go home.
Vice President Treston.
Yes, thank you.
President Bendo.
It's time to give them the dignity that they deserve. Yes.
Item 4. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the approval of a list of eligible volunteer firefighters for the 2022 Length of Service Award LoSAP Service Credit.
All right, we move from CSCA to our firefighters.
Joe Miller. Joe? Scott? Yeah, thanks. Scott, you might want to grab the other mic so the two of you can kind of do in tandem.
We can get close. The fire department also would like to extend its congratulations and best wishes to Rich Berrios. He's been a good friend to us and to me personally, and thank you. It means a lot. The Long Beach Fire Department LoSAP program is a tool to recruit and retain volunteer firefighters. It is an award program that offers pension-like benefits to the volunteer firefighters and EMS personnel of the department pursuant to general municipal law. Our department uses hometown firefighters services from Bohemia to administer our LoSAP program. As per New York State General Business Law, Article 11A, 1 year of firefighting service must be credited under a service award program for each calendar year in which an active volunteer firefighter accumulates at least 50 points. These points include members' attendance and alarms, drills, standbys, meetings, train classes, and other things throughout the calendar year. To be eligible to receive these benefits, members must reach the age of 65 and have at least 20 years of active service in the department. I ask that the City Council approve the list of names that has been provided and certified as reaching the 50-point requirement for the calendar year of 2022.
Okay, any questions from the council?
I have, I think, two questions. First, I was wondering if Comptroller Resnick can confirm that past administrations actually, in the recent past, did not fund this annual contribution. Is that correct?
Did not.
Yeah?
Yes, I can confirm that. And last year, which is our fiscal year 2022, the city funded 2 years of contributions. Contributions are actuarially determined.
Okay, so we caught up, this administration caught up, okay. And then my second question is about something I've heard from some residents regarding 2% money from the state every year. Is that a funding source that the city can tap into?
That was something the lawyers will have to look at. It's nothing that the volunteer fire department has access to.
So is it something that is attributable, is a calculation for paid firefighters where the state or state insurance board gives money back to a certain entity and then the city gets it?
Again, the way it's been done here is the volunteer fire department has never received any of that money. The exempt organization has.
And where does the exempt organization funds go to? The city, right?
To the members.
Members
of the exempt organization.
So they don't come to the city general fund?
I don't know if they come from the state and where they go to directly.
There is a section in the city charter that covers the 2% money. I don't know the section off the top of my head, but I believe the city might be a pass-through for the money based upon the charter. I'm not 100% sure, but the money does come from out of state, or what they refer to foreign insurance companies that write fire insurance policies within the communities in New York.
Is this something that our corporation counsel's office can evaluate and report back what other fire departments do?
Remember, all departments are going to be different depending if their districts, us as a city, might be a little bit different than everywhere else.
Yeah. it seems like it might be a good time to review that policy and see what the best practices are, and maybe consider it in any sort of discussions with the union.
It'll be looked into. The union has nothing to do with it.
It's for the volunteers.
It's for the volunteers?
Yeah,
Okay.
the money is for the health and welfare and good and welfare of volunteers. The money is, like I said, funded through out-of-state insurance companies.
Okay. I would like an analysis on what other municipalities do, whether they are fire districts or non-fire districts in the tri-state area.
Chuck?
Karen?
It's going to have to be looked into.
I have to agree with you. It is.
No. Sorry.
I know. It is part belongs to the paid fire department because it goes by members. It goes by active members, and even though they're only a small percentage, they get part of that money, or they're entitled to it. And that's, you know, it's State of Office Controller's decision number 89-53, if anybody wants to look at it. But they're very clear about that it does belong partially to the paid.
Well,
I think
the paid
also, I
is the
think the
city.
charter will need to be checked too, because I think that the charter, when it was done for the, that monies, the city decided then to send it directly to the exempt every time they received it.
Oh, yeah, the city might, but the law says.
It seems like this is going to take some time, so maybe at the next meeting you can
All right,
report back a status?
So we need the Corp Council to look into this. We're not going to resolve this here
Right.
and now.
So I've already spoken to the Corp Council about it. The research will start to be undertaken to find out exactly how the money is designed and whether or not the city has been adhering to the law. And Councilman Lester, if you wouldn't mind providing the research that you did to the Corporation Council, just as though they can go right to the heart of where you got the information from. Thank you very much.
All right.
Anything
Any
else?
other questions from the council?
No, I appreciate your sorry, long evening, your explanation about the LoSAP.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions from the public? Mr. Hodge?
Thank you, Commissioner. James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York. Thank all of you for any way that we can help those that volunteer. I always say volunteering is super amazing. I had years opportunity to serve under the auxiliary, and I'm so happy for this amazing auxiliary police officer and the fine job that they do. I would say that, you know, Roy, it's always great. You do a lot of detailed work, and this is not getting on you, but Mr. Lester, sorry about that. I would just say if you can always just try to give as much information before the council meeting, because you do your digging, you do your research, and that's awesome as a city council person. You know, and everyone knows that you do a lot of research, and some of the other council members, but you dig in. So it's good if you can give that to Corporation Council as soon as possible so they can act on that. And whatever information that the city can get for our volunteer firefighters and our volunteer auxiliary police officers, all the volunteers that volunteer for the city, it's good that we can find anything that will give them any equipment, any benefits. They're volunteering the fire department, again, to run in when people are running out. Whatever we can get, whether a fire department is doing it somewhere around the country or not, it's good to do the analysts and cross it across the country, however, but however we can benefit our fire department, just think, they're volunteering to be here tonight. Please, I encourage the city, as I've been doing for many, many years, to do all they can for our volunteer fire department, whatever benefits they can get. Again, they are volunteering, and I'm grateful that they have helped even save my father and other family members in times of need. So again, Roy, thank you for looking into that, and thank the city for whatever they will find.
James, if you think I don't share things with the corporate council, why do you think Rich is leaving? No, just kidding.
No, I'm just saying you do.
But you have to also understand, it's the public's right to know this.
Yes.
If I find something, I can share it with the corporate council, but I also have a duty to share it with the public. So,
all right, so I'll take my last 10 seconds. what I'm saying is share it with the public, but you can also give it to them and then bring it back on record. However you do, it's good to let the people know. But it's good so they can start doing their due diligence and looking into it even prior to a meeting, so they can give more of the community feedback on this very issue, whatever it is.
They
you know?
get it beforehand.
Okay, all right, because he just said share it with them, so I guess they got it already. Okay, okay, thank you, Roy. I just wanted to make it clear, so you gave it to him. Thanks, Roy, I appreciate you. Thanks, City Manager.
Okay. Any other comments from the public? All right, Dave, let's call this so the firefighters don't have to stick around.
Sure. Okay, so item 4 is a resolution authorizing the approval of a list of eligible volunteer firefighters for the 2022 Length of Service Award Program, LoSAP, service credit. Who would introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will. Oops, sorry.
Who got that one?
Jinx.
Okay.
Tina can have it first.
Second?
I will.
Okay. Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay.
And Joe, just an FYI, I don't know if you know, I was just reading, there's 2 fire departments that are suing the state, saying the volunteer fire departments have been getting shortchanged on the 2%. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, exempt organizations, yeah. They're calling for an audit of the program. Yeah. Okay, next item.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing a settlement of an action brought by Julia Lopez Motherway against the City of Long Beach.
All right, I think we have an amendment for this one.
Okay.
In the second whereas clause, to remove the words beginning at $1 million.
Who'll second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Okay, who's talking about this?
It's Corporation Council. Not much to say.
This is a matter that's been in litigation for several years. It's still in litigation unless and until the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. So the city can't really comment on it until after it's voted on.
Okay.
I'd like to vote for this now.
Right, we still haven't done
I
comment
just want
yet.
to make something clear. This is public record, so we're not going to comment on it, but I don't want people to think that we're trying to hide anything. Anybody can go online and find these things out.
Yeah, you can go on the court's website and look at anything that's public record.
Yes.
The city's not going to talk about the way the litigation is being handled.
No, not at all.
Afterwards, a lot of stuff becomes public record as well.
But I'm talking about this right now. It's public record. People could look at it. It's not that the city's trying to, hide something from them.
Nothing's being hidden.
Okay.
Okay, any questions from the public? All right.
Oh, boy.
No.
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street. Roy, you was on to something, and I would love to, I'm not sure if this is, I know it's public and it's on the agenda and all of the information is on there, but I just want to say publicly, if the city signs some type of contract, if they sign, I'm just saying, if they do with all lawsuits, because sometimes some are signed that they would be disclosed and some would not be. So I'm not sure why Roy was kind of being told to just go and look what's on the website, but I don't know if this is, supposed to be disclosed. If it's not, then that means that it may open the city up to more liability.
James, it's not, litigation cannot be disclosed, but people sometimes ask questions about that.
Yeah, I know.
And I encourage people, when they ask questions, hey, there's a lot of stuff you can find on the internet. Look at it. I don't want people thinking we are obligated by law not to discuss a settlement, but we're not trying to hide anything. It's open, and I want people to know it's open.
Okay.
No.
So I don't know if anything is open or private, depending upon what was disclosed or what kind of settlement was disclosed, because sometimes there is, I don't know. So I just don't want the city to open themselves up for more litigation, depending upon what was the settlement, whatever it is. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Did-
Hi, I'm Julia Lopez Motherway again, and I apologize for speaking like that, but that's a very insensitive thing, please, to say, Mr. Lester. I am not speaking at all on the details of what you can find online, I'll say. But I am showing my face while I am shaking and crying, because while everyone can find things online, I am here. I am here. This is my face. And then my face is not online, but now it is. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Just get it off.
Okay, on to the next item.
Okay, item 6 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 22-23 fiscal year.
Look at the leach.
We're going to call this together with item 19, because they're
Okay.
both...
Okay, and item 19 has been added by unanimous consent. And item 19 is, hold on, different sheet, is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase equipment and hardware to hardwire beach ticket booths for the Ocean Beach Park.
Okay.
So this is actually a conjoined item. It has to do with wiring and the necessary equipment necessary to bring power so that the Ocean Beach Park can accept credit cards for the purchase of our daily beach passes.
Okay, any questions from the council?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to express, and I know, we have discussed this, but as we move toward the cashless operation, I just want to make sure that going forward, we build in an element or alternative for those who are bankless. That's all.
It's been discussed. We will have
Yep.
some sort of location set up so that if somebody wants to pay cash for a beach pass, they'll have the ability to do that after our, so that'll be, that will be something to be done.
That's not what the resolution
No, it's
is.
not what it's for, but.
It's not,
it was the
no, I
comment that
just
she had.
wanted to express that right up.
Acting City Manager Walsh, could you please confirm that we will be applying for reimbursement for all of these funds from the New York State
FRB, yeah.
Financial Restructuring Board?
Yeah. So the monies that are for this are actually, were included in our request to the state for funding, and this is going to be a reimbursable expense.
That's excellent, thank you.
Okay, any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, let's move on to item 7.
Item 7 is also a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 22-23 fiscal year.
All right, I guess I'll do this one. So, as part of the city manager's, the city council's efforts to do a formal city manager search, we are engaging a consultant with expertise in this space that's going to work with us to help us launch the search. So that's basically what this is for. It's just moving the money to be able to pay that consultant. So, any questions from the council? All right, any from the public? All right, on to item 8.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the retention of consulting services.
Okay, so this is just part 2 of the previous one. This is actually hiring the consultant. So, any questions from the council? Any from the public? All right. On to item 9.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to amend the contract for asphalt overlay work at various locations throughout the city.
All right, before we move on, I think we got an amendment. It's got the company's address as Kirby Lance, Syosset, New York. That's supposed to be Kirby Lane in 2 places. In the first whereas and in the resolved. Right, Joe? Okay.
That's correct. Okay, this is a resolution.
Wait.
Hold on.
We got to vote on the amendment.
I move.
Second? Okay. Voting, Councilmember Postoli?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Vice President Treston?
Yes.
President Bendo?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Joe Fabrizio, Commissioner of Public Works. This resolution is basically giving the city manager the authority to exceed the contract for road work ahead by $625,000. The intent is to commence our annual asphalt overlay program in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Basically, we're going to be milling and overlaying several the roads that we've heard complaints about in this room over the last 6 to 7 months. One is going to be Clark Street from Chester to Pine. Another one is going to be Curly from Chester to Pine. We're going to be paving Lincoln from Broadway to Shore Road and various sections of Broadway, basically west of Long Beach Road. So basically, this gives me the ability to exceed the contract value so I can undertake this work. The funding, the $625,000, is available in the capital budget to do this work. So therefore, I recommend that you move forward with this.
Okay, any questions from the council?
Yes, Joe, I'm really confused about this.
Sure.
We had a resolution to do the asphalt work for $469,000.
That was the original contract
Right.
value.
Then we changed it to add another $208,000, so we had
Correct.
$677,000.
Now we're amending it again to go over the $677,400.
Now we're adding another $625,000 to it?
We're going over it by $677,000 with another $625,000
So
to
we're
continue
talking almost $3 million.
No, that would be $677,000 plus $625. So that would be about $1.2 million total on overlays.
1.3.
Didn't you? I didn't hear what you. I thought you said
1.302.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's how much we're spending.
Correct.
Total. Okay.
All right, any other questions from the council? All right, any from the public? All right, seeing none, on to item 10.
Item 10 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into a contract for the rehabilitation of the high-pressure sand gravel filters at the water purification plant.
Okay, on October 28, 2022, my office received 3 proposals for engineering services to rehabilitate the city's 10 high-pressure sand gravel filters at the water purification plant. H2M was interviewed by the city's 5-member committee based upon their expertise, qualifications, and overall understanding of the project. Their cost proposal was selected by the committee and was the lowest at $131,116. The work includes an inspection report, preparation of plant specifications, construction administration, and part-time inspection, which equates to 20 hours for 20 hours a week for 24 weeks. The city received a $1,250,000 legislative appropriation for this project. The city share of that is $250,000, or 20%, and it's available in the capital budget. H2M is a reputable contractor and has successfully performed many projects in the city. Therefore, I recommend awarding the project to H2M.
I'm sorry,
Any
Joe,
questions?
You didn't ask.
Go ahead.
Sure.
All right. Joe, I didn't quite understand. How much do we have? $1 million?
Well, it's $1,250,000. And the project cost is $1,250,000. The city's share of that is 20%, or $250,000. And $250,000 is in the capital budget for this project. And $1 million is coming from a legislative appropriation. So the this component, which is $131,116, will be funded with the $250,000 money that's in the capital budget, which is the city's match.
And then, but the 1.25 will be enough to do the filters.
That's going to, right. We estimate basically $125,000 per filter times 10 filters, which is $1,250,000.
Okay, thank you.
But we're getting reimbursed for this.
We're getting reimbursed out of the 1,250,000. We're being reimbursed $1 million.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions from the council? Just for the edification of the people sitting in the audience, because what the hell, it's only 9:25, let's keep going. These are what filter the water that you drink that after it comes out of the well. The water goes through this, and this filters the water to take out sediments and such. So,
Yeah, and just as just a few questions I had from the council and from the acting city manager, they were installed in 1969, the 10 filters. They were rehabilitated in 1997, and it should really be done every 10 to 15 years, according to my discussions with the consulting firm. So we're way past that.
we're overdue.
We're ready. We're ready to
Okay.
do that again.
Any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, let's move on to item 11.
Item 11 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into a contract for engineering services inclusive of alternate analysis, recommendation, and implementation of advanced metering infrastructure water meters from the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay. On December 16, 2022, my office received 2 proposals to facilitate a citywide residential water meter replacement program.
Excuse me.
H2M engineers and architects received the highest ranking and proposed the lowest cost at $211,105. The proposals were ranked again by our 5-member committee, and H2M demonstrated a clear understanding of their roles and responsibilities, as well as the scope of the project. I had some questions from the council about, the total cost of the project. It is broken down into 4 components. The first component is what I call, because I prepared the RFP, was an alternate analysis and recommendation. So they're going to basically look at all the available technology, look at all the types of meters that are out there. They're going to come to the council and they're going to make a presentation, and they're going to actually recommend what meter the city should be using. I thought that was important because I felt that I certainly didn't have the expertise to choose the meter, and I don't think anybody in the city really did. So I felt it was an important component. That price for that one component is $33,264. The second phase is design, which is the preparation of plan specifications once the meter is selected, and that's $23,665. Part 3 is construction administration, which is basically just reviewing shop drawings, change orders, and so forth when we get to construction. And Part 4 is project management. That's $127,604. That's 20 hours per day for 365 days. That's the way we laid out the proposal. So, so the $211,000 isn't just, there's 4 components to that price. The project's being reimbursed through the Environmental Facilities Corporation. It's called the GIGP grant, Green Infrastructure Grant Program. We're getting $2,667,000. The city's portion of that is $667,000, which is in the capital budget, and the Environmental Facilities Corporation is funding $2 million. Okay, and we're considering this phase 1 of this program. Okay, so we have basically phase 1. We have $2,667,000. $667,000 is the city's share. Okay, so the whole project for phase 1 is $2,667,000. H2M's done quite a few projects for the city, and I recommend awarding it to them. Again, some questions that I had gotten about the condition of the existing meters when they were installed. They were installed roughly 20 to 25 years ago. Based on my discussions with the consultant, they're probably reading at like 88 to 90% capacity. So I spoke to the city controller just to get an idea of like the revenue that we're potentially losing. The way it works, we probably spend about we probably get right now $4.6 million in water revenue and about 5.4 in sewer revenue. So that's 10 million total. So basically we're losing about probably 10% because they're only reading out 88 to 90% readings. So there's a potential, once we finally finish this meter project, increase revenues from the water and sewer rates. So it's very important, I think, that we move forward. Plus, the existing meters are basically beyond their useful life. It's very difficult to get replacement parts. We currently use what's called the drive-by system, where we have a gentleman that works in water sewer billing. He has to drive around the whole city and basically records, not manually, but he gets them like on a little handheld unit. We won't have to do that anymore. With the new technology, it's, you read in real time from the office. So you don't have to go out. You get all the readings in the office, which is very, very important. So that's just a quick summary. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
Okay, any questions from the council?
No, Joe fills us in on everything.
Okay.
Try.
Thank you.
Any from the public? Seeing none, on to item 12.
Item 12 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase various T-shirts and athletic apparel with imprints from the lowest responsible bidders.
Mr. Brand?
So
Is that Mr. Brand?
I'll start with this, Joe, and if there's any further questions, I'll let you fill it in. So basically what this is to establish what's referred to normally as a blanket order. Estimates of the amount of T-shirts that the city is going to purchase for various events throughout the city, whether it be a race or the lifeguards, or this is actually all clothing in that regard, or the camps. We provide estimates, and what was actually discovered, was it last year, Joe, that we found out that the bid was not really, the pricing really wasn't where it was at?
Actually, the last time that this came up for council approval, I think it was in October or early November.
Right.
I think, Roy, if I'm not mistaken, we didn't get many bids in. The agenda item failed. Shortly after that, we had one of the races down at the rec, so we went through the normal procurement process of getting 3 bids to order T-shirts for that particular race, and we received pricing that was significantly less than what was turned down on that agenda item. I then approached Rich Barrios and the city manager at the time, and made the suggestion that we rebid the items and make sure that we get them out to
All of the items?
Yeah, all of it. Redo the whole bid and get more people to bid on it. Luckily for us, we've gotten five people that bid on the items, and we saved quite a bit of money by going through that process.
So this actually will enable the city to sign up with these vendors so that at the prices stated with the estimates given, so that the city can carry on operations and make the orders necessary by department through the item lines that are in the budget for uniforms.
All right, any questions from the council?
Yeah, Joe. I looked at this and I counted, and I don't see how it could be thousands and thousands of T-shirts. How many T-shirts are we actually ordering? Or have you asking for authority to order?
It all depends on what we're ordering the shirts for. Like some of the numbers you see there, what we're required to provide to the vendors is an approximate number, a maximum number. They need a figure for them to make it worthwhile for them to afford us the cheaper prices that they're going to give us. I mean, if you were to take a look at the bid items like tank tops, for instance, right? Colored tank tops, there's a number of 1,500 there. Does that mean we're going to order 1,500 tank tops?
So we don't know.
No.
So we're not voting on what you're actually ordering.
That's right.
We're
No.
voting on a price that you got a bid for.
Correct. And
we don't
then
normally-
within each department, if I need tank tops for the ticket takers, or tank tops for a rec basketball program, or tank tops for lifeguard uniforms, you consult the bid, the item number, who gave us the cheapest price, that's who gets the order, comes right out of your regular operating budget.
So we don't.
You don't add anything up on here. Nope.
Okay. All right.
All right, any questions? I think I saw Ms. Hessian.
There isn't a bikini in here, right?
There actually is. Oh, no, the low rise.
Eileen Hessian, Long Beach. I did talk about this one last time, I do remember, and I guess Joe just said you can't put a price on this, but it does seem ridiculous that you're voting on something and you don't know what the price is. And also, last time, I didn't ask for a bikini, but I said, it looks like you get a T-shirt and you get a T-shirt. And everybody in the world's getting a T-shirt. There's so many of them. Can I have one? I asked it last time.
So the price is actually in there for how much the item will cost per item.
Not on mine.
Well, in the back, no, it's not on yours.
It's in the backup documentation that the council gets, so that the council can see what the prices that we'd have agreed upon for the particular item.
It's online, too.
Yeah, the backup documentation is,
Yeah, I looked up the
Documentation's
backup. I didn't
It's there.
see it.
Yeah.
It's there, it's there.
yeah, it actually does denote it, and the purpose of this is so that we have the ability to order the items without having to go through the procurement process every single
For
time.
every single
and not
time. I
being
get that. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
But I see an awful lot of people with logos on their jackets, a lot of people. So stop giving away so many jackets.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I want to say something about that, too. Like, the question came up from Councilman Lester in discussions that him and I had with regard to, like, the Long Beach lifeguard T-shirts and stuff like that, and how come so many people have those T-shirts? Those T-shirts that you see are promotional T-shirts.
I have
So,
that
yeah.
T-shirt.
So if you look at the back of it, somebody else paid for that so that you can advertise their company on the back of it. The city bears no cost on that.
I'm not talking about them.
Okay, no, I just wanted
Yeah,
to
thank
let it
you.
out there.
Get it.
I had a
Eileen,
similar
for
question myself.
familiarity's sake, one of the biggest items that we spend money on for shirts are the races, which of course you know about. So in order for us, every race gets a different color, whether it's long sleeve, short sleeve. This ensures we get the cheapest price.
What would you like it to say?
Next month.
But Joe,
You don't want to know.
correct me if I'm wrong, those races pay for the shirts.
Yes,
They-
yes.
It's part of the,
Mm-hmm.
what it's put in.
Yes,
They
it's
still have to
included.
be ordered.
So theoretically, that should be no cost to the city.
Yes.
All right, any other questions from the public? All right, on to item 13.
Item 13 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase miscellaneous general hardware items on an as-needed basis.
All right, we got an amendment there. In the first whereas clause, we need to change 2 bids to 3 bids.
Right.
Hold on
Second.
a second. Hold on.
Hurry up, Dave.
Okay. 2, 2, 3. Okay, I'm sorry, who moved that?
Karen,
Second?
me.
Voting, Councilmember Apostoli?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Vice President Treston?
Yes.
President Bendo?
Yes.
Okay.
So a relatively self-explanatory item. It's for the listed locations, Center Mill, White Breads, and TCS Marine Services, to be able to provide the city the ability to make purchases for necessary items that they need, that they either run out of, like a bolt or whatever it might be, and they actually give us a discount for signing up with them for those items.
Any questions from the council? All right, any from the public? Seeing none, on to item 14.
Item 14 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase various vehicles for various city departments.
So, this is an item that's been bantered around here numerous times. It's for 10 different vehicles for various different departments that have been delayed for a relatively long period of time. Many of these vehicles, the dollars were actually approved by the council. Some of them were almost a year ago. I know for certain the sanitation pickup trucks were that way, but the Ford vehicle still is not available. So these pickup trucks from Chevrolet did become available, which is how we were able to secure them. The backup documentation that was provided to the council shows a one-for-one movement as a vehicle comes in. We wanted to ensure that our fleet was not growing in size, so a vehicle was leaving the fleet as well. The only new vehicle on the entire, meaning a vehicle that is coming in that is not a direct replacement, is the Ford Transit van, which is specifically for the water purification department to be utilized as a water testing vehicle. The van itself will actually have the lab set up in the back of the collection lab in the back of it, with certain tables and shelves and necessary equipment to actually go around to the 10 different locations around the city, which each have to be tested at least once per week, according to the Department of Health, to ensure that the water quality is up to the standard that is necessary. I can walk through each one of the vehicles for the council if you want, but
These vehicles are needed. They are all directly going into our departments because the vehicles that they have are either shot or no longer able to provide the service that the city requires.
Okay, well, I should just go straight. Roy?
Okay, first of all, we're buying the vehicles from Commander Fleet Corp.
That's correct.
But Commander, I'm sorry.
We're actually
Yeah.
leasing the vehicles, Roy, with the intention to buy them for $1 at the end of the lease agreement.
Right, we're leasing them. But Commander Fleet Corp is not an awarded vendor. And so why are we going through them rather than to Whitmore Auto Group or the other groups that we're buying from?
These are all off a state bid, so they are a vendor with the state, and we're allowed to use them as actually the provider of the actual vehicle. So they get the vehicles and outfit them for us for our service.
Because I checked, Commander's not on the state bid list. Whitmore definitely is.
So the vehicle purchase of the vehicle itself, so you don't buy from that vendor, you buy from, I'm sorry, withdrawn. You don't buy from the state bid, you buy from the vendor who actually supplies the vehicle for them and outfits the vehicles for us, for our specific needs. So they'll put the lettering on it for us, and for the police department, we use Commander Fleet. They actually put in the computer systems, the lights, all of the necessary hardware to hold the computer in place, and things like that. They're the outfitter that we use, that the vehicles come through.
Okay, and how come we don't use the mini bid system?
So the mini bid system is usually, just being familiar with it from my past life, is used when a vehicle is not available. So you would try to locate a vehicle from an authorized vendor and then make a one-off purchase from that particular vendor to buy it. So that's what the mini bid is actually for. These vehicles were available, and Commander Fleet actually was the one who found the vehicles for us, brought them to our attention, and then we were able to make the purchase.
And if we buy outside of the mini bid system, is it still a New York State contract purchase?
A mini bid,
No, outside of it. If we don't use mini bid, is it a New York State contract purchase?
anything we buy outside, so the mini bid process is a bidding process in and of itself. Outside of that, we would not be able to buy a vehicle unless it was on state bid, or we went out with a bidding process and somebody responded back and we guaranteed our lowest price.
But
So
these are just authorized vendors, they're not bid.
they're bought from a state contract through a vendor that does the outfitting.
But they're not bid.
They're taking up a state contract.
Right.
The
They're
price of the
listed-
vehicle,
There are about 50 different vendors on the state contract.
Yeah.
Right. So, but there's not a bid. It's not like a mini bid system. It's just we're buying on.
it's
state
considered off of a state contract with the outfitter being used as the outfitter is used to outfit the vehicles, yes. So we pay the base price for the vehicle, and then whatever we dress it up with is paid for on top of it. Like for the police department, we pay, take a Ford Explorer, the last one that we purchased was probably, I think it was about $36,000 leftover hybrid. It might have been a $38,000 leftover hybrid. Don't quote me on the dollar amount. And then we had to pay the additional dollars for the lights to go into it and all the other stuff. The outfitter actually does that.
Yes, I understand that.
Right.
I'm just trying to figure out the bid system because, what I'm hearing from the state is differently. But the other thing too is I know you've been working on this and, you're making some progress, but it bothers me buying new vehicles when I see what's happening to our vehicles. Now, in the last 6.5 months, we spent, what, $414,000 just in maintenance? Was that the number? It was 400 something.
I didn't memorize what they were, but I'll take your word for it, yeah.
Yeah. And yet, we're replacing cars that have, some of the beach cars only have 11,000 miles on it, something like that. Some of the other cars have 42,000 miles, and we're replacing them. And something just, for a city that is, and I don't want to say broke, because I know you don't like that word, Karen, but for a city that's how can we put it, not flush. It seems like we're spending a lot on cars, and we have more cars than I can understand the need for. I know I've asked for some things, and you've been trying to get me as much information, but...
I think I've given you a lot of information on cars, yeah.
No, listen,
Yeah.
I have an entire file just on cars, you know, and I just don't understand why we have 2 square miles, why we have to have so many cars, and why some of our cars have hundreds of thousands of miles on it. Like I say, we have 2 square miles. And, you know, it just, to me, it's not making sense. But that's just me.
Yes.
I'm not expecting an answer to that at
Okay.
this point.
I have a question and comment, or did you want to?
No, so long as Roy's done, I'll
Yeah.
be happy to take questions from anybody.
Is there, Acting City Manager Walsh, I want to thank you for taking on this thankless project, which is literally thankless, and Controller Resnick and Michael Robinson, who worked with you as well. I did have sticker shock when I first saw this resolution, and I was a little puzzled about it. So I asked a lot of questions, and I got a lot of answers. And again, getting a handle on our equipment and our assets like this is it's an important process where we have to start somewhere. And I believe, and I am comfortable that Acting City Manager Walsh is getting a handle on the inventory, determining the needs of the departments going forward so that they can do their jobs, making sure that new vehicles are properly maintained going forward. So that is why I am comfortable with this resolution. I will say that going forward in the next budget process, I will be asking for the detail by car for equipment rentals and equipment lease lines. I have not asked for that in the past. But having those schedules in the beginning of the budget process so that when I say yes for the budget, conceivably, I understand what vehicles are needed and where they are needed and that they're funded properly. So then as resolutions come up, I am comfortable that you don't have to go through a fire drill and explain everything away again and again and again. And again, a budgeting process is an iterative process. It takes years and years and years to get better at it, even when it's your own department. And then things change. So all we can ask is the department heads and the executive team to do the best that they can to map our dollars to our resource, to our needs. And I am comfortable that that's what's happening in terms of our fleet right now.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else from the council? All right, anyone from the public? Mr. Hodge.
Time is very late. James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street. I just want to say, Roy, again, thank you for the questions. Because the city manager can, be very good, but, and he is. He does his due diligence also, a lot of research. I've got a chance to work with him on some things. He does a lot of research, but it's always good, like you said, Roy, that you ask questions, and Ms. Karen, it's good that you said that you haven't done it before, but you're looking at it now, and when the next budget come out, you will question all of these things. But I'll just say to the council, you should always question everything, right? None of us are perfect, but as you learn, you make different decisions. But Roy is consistent with asking questions. Actually, he's looking up more questions now to ask you. He's in the computer now. But I thank you, Mr. Lester, for being detailed and consistent with research on research.
You're swelling my head, James.
Well, you need it, because I appreciate you asking these questions so everyone can hear them. And we understand it's late, but everyone can hear them or look back on the tape. So, and I'll say, if it's possible to get, workers, new vehicles to do their jobs, auxiliary police, fire department, city workers. I remember when I was working in the police department under the animal control, I used to drive a truck, actually 475, And I used to get out of that truck, and I used to have to hit the starter when I was on the beach. If I turned it off, hit the starter, it'd start up, and get back in the truck.
I
And
think
so
you still have that truck, James.
No, not that one. That was 475. But it's good to go through the fleet and see what vehicles need to be fixed or new or leased or whatever. But it's good that you ask these questions, Roy. So I just wanted to again say thank you, and also thank you, City Manager, and to the council for going through all of these vehicles to make sure that everyone is driving a safe vehicle in our city.
Okay, Ms. Hessian.
Eileen Hessian, Long Beach. So when it's about cars, I always get up. It was hard to read that when it said purchased and then later on it said leased. So how long is the lease before you get to buy them for $1? How many years? 5, thank you. And then the other thing is, I looked up some of those cars, which I know is not a perfect science, but some of your $55,000 cars start at $35,000. And as the city manager just said, you have to add things on. And I understand that, you know, a police car needs a siren, that needs to be added on. But I am wondering, do any of these cars have options like moon roofs or special sound
It's funny,
systems?
that's the second time
heated
I've heard
seats?
that there's a cars out there with moon roof. If you've got a moon roof, I'd love to see it. We don't have moon roofs in our cars. None of our vehicles that we purchase that way have that. The only vehicles that may have that is an asset forfeiture vehicle that we got for free.
I'm just asking about the new ones coming out, because
Absolutely
it seems
not.
like they...
These are pickup trucks for the most part, or and a couple
Okay,
of
they've
Tahoes.
gone,
Yeah.
you know, any of those big, elaborate... I have a...
I actually would have put 22s on it with a hydraulic system to kind of make it jump around, but they wouldn't let me, so it's a joke.
It just seems that everything on the agenda, not everything tonight, but 4 or 5 things were $600,000 that became $1.2 million. You know, it's just so much money, and I never see cutbacks. So, Karen, when you do the thing next time with the cars, get a Kia or a Hyundai or something, and not, you know, these Silverados. You know, they're
Silverado's a
expensive
pickup
cars.
truck. Silverado's a pickup truck.
It's the top line of the pickup truck.
The Silverado is that's the pickup
All right,
truck. I believe that's a
I don't really know
350,
cars.
that one.
I just know $55,000 is a lot of money.
So it's that truck itself, it's not like a pickup truck that you would buy or I would buy. It's a much more beefed up truck. It's a very heavy duty vehicle. It's, you know, same thing with, you know.
Okay, and the other thing I would ask is, and I have asked this before, how many cars do we have? I remember when there was somebody that was the head of the transportation department, and he told me we don't have a list. There has to be a list
So we do have a
somewhere.
list.
And by department, like the
We have a
police
list by
department
department.
owns this many, and the
I've given the
beach
council
department,
a list of every single car.
I'd like to see
by
that list.
departments.
That would be great.
That's something that, if you foil it, we'll give it to you, no problem. So
Thank
we've
you.
given a list of every single car by department with their mileage and the condition. And something that I did, what did I get that, about a month ago, approximately, maybe 3 weeks ago.
That would keep me quiet the next time
February
the
what?
cars come up.
February 15th.
February 15th is the first time it was ever broken down that way. We've done a lot of work on this. So
Beautiful.
if I could give you this, because it seems to be, there's a lot of people in Long Beach that think there's like this waste thing going on. The evaluation that went into these particular vehicles was extremely extensive. By the way, Roy, these were Long Beach bids. These vehicles were purchased by Long Beach bid. We put out the bid requirement for it, and we made sure in our own bid that these vehicles were purchased. That's the way these were done. I made a mistake on that, so I want to clarify that. So, but that's how they were purchased. These were actually purchased by Long Beach bid.
You know, there's a bid opening.
And I actually forgot that, and John Heydrich, the owner of Commander Fleet, texted me, goes, these were Long Beach bid product. So we actually bid that ourselves. I had forgotten that. But in any case, if I could just give you this. The amount of oversight into the purchasing, into how we're buying vehicles, into everything that we're doing, I'm not quite sure what structurally took place here in the way of setting up systems so that there's a repetitive way of doing business, right?
There are things that we do exceptionally well here. There are things that we do very poorly. I personally do not like the current structure of the way we allocate money for vehicles. And where I want to move in the future, and obviously we're not doing it right now, is I want to centralize the dollars allocated every year for vehicle purchases. So this is approximately how much money, X amount of money, that we're going to allocate every year to buy vehicles. And we prioritize what we're going to buy the vehicles for. That should be informed by the needs of the departments, taking a historical look at the use and how long it takes for a vehicle to become not worth repairing anymore. We have, to Roy's point, a lot of vehicles that have exceeded their service life in as much as they cost more to keep on the road than it would be to spend the money to buy a new car. Right. $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 a year to keep a car on the road is insanity. Right. So we're behind. There are a lot of ills of the past that we're still trying to cure ourselves with. We're nowhere near done. So one of the things that Roy brought up was an 11,000-mile vehicle that was used on the beach. I've offered it to Roy to come down, and the entire council, come down to the garage and actually take a look at the way the vehicle frame is. It's gone because it's been used on the beach every single summer for 12 years. There's only 11,000 miles on it because all it does is go up and down the beach, but it's shot. So the value of keeping that vehicle on the road and the safety of that vehicle starts to come into question. It's time to start to replace these things. I've also told the garage that from this point forward, when they buy a new vehicle, we are to take undercarriage protection and to spray the undercarriage of the vehicles to increase the life and do it every year. So there are processes that we can do ourselves to help to try to give greater value at a low cost for our vehicles. So people like you and Roy and that are trying to keep us on our toes, it's working. But it takes time to change a system and create the structure to actually do it in a repetitive fashion, if you will. Hopefully that helps you a little bit.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate the fact that Joe brought up that the T-shirts this year are cheaper than they were last year, because that's what we'd like to hear.
Substantially.
Once in a while, instead of we're spending $600,000, tell us we saved $100,000 or something. That would make me very happy. Thank you very much. And thank you for taking care of the hospital situation that I had asked about.
You're welcome.
Tom, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Linda.
So Eileen, also, we have 93 cars
And SUVs.
and SUVs in the fleet, but an overall total number of vehicles, I think it's 301?
303.
303, which is down, and we are in the process of reducing our fleet even further. I believe we've been able to identify about 23 or 25 vehicles that we're going to be excising out of the fleet without necessarily bringing in replacements.
Hi, Linda Giles, Long Beach. Just a quick question regarding the Chevy Silverado four-wheel drive crew cab for $105,000.
That's a 650.
Dump truck.
Yeah, that's a 650 dump truck.
What are they used for, and why do we need two of them?
So there's one actually here for street maintenance, and the other one is for water transportation. They're two different departments. They're going to have plows on them. They're used to, they put large quantities of debris in the back of them, and it's used as a dump truck. It literally comes up like this, dumps, and pours the stuff out of the back. So it's used for a whole host of different requirements. I could read you some of the things that I had put on this list here. So the truck is to be used to hold debris excavated during water main service and other hydrant installations. And the other one is utilized to hold debris excavated during trench and restoration activities. Two different departments doing two different types of work. The current vehicles that they were using for those are beyond their service life and need to be replaced. So they're actually pushing out of the back end other dump trucks. One's a 2004 and one's a 2007. So they're not new vehicles by any stretch of the imagination. They're very old and they're very hard-worked vehicles that we've... Another example of those vehicles that it's way too expensive to keep trying to keep this thing on the road.
I understand. I was just confused with what
No, it's
they were
okay.
used for and why they were so expensive.
Yeah, I'm trying to give the information that you're asking,
Thank
that's all. Sure. I hate that I know this much about these vehicles.
Okay, any more?
Oh, we got a hand, wait.
Mr. Kirkland.
Were you the guy in high school that took the shot right at the buzzer?
Yep.
You're good at it.
You never know when you're going to need an extra point. Out of the 300-plus cars, are all of them leased or?
We don't have 300 cars. We have 93.
Oh, we have 93 cars.
Then we have then we have jet skis and plows and
The total number of things that
lawnmowers
move
and
with an engine,
Vehicles.
if you will.
Vehicles
We
and
have
what's their
excavators and tractors and
So,
all sorts
yeah.
of different equipment.
So of the 93 then, are they all leased cars
No.
initially?
As a matter of fact, there are a few of them that were leased. There was a time under the prior city manager's direction that we were looking at leasing. These will be the last vehicles that we lease because as we're speaking, it's flipped, where it's no longer less expensive to lease a vehicle, it's now less expensive for us to actually put it into the capital project and bond it. So what we did at the time of these things and the arrangement for these vehicles was we actually did an evaluation of what was going to cost less money.
Mhm.
That's how these come. That's now switched again. We're going back to putting into the capital project lines and to pay for them ourselves over medium-term debt, actually.
Well, especially since we put so many miles on our cars in this 2-square-mile city. Leasing it, you would use up the
Yes.
amount of allotted miles for it.
Yes.
So what would be the average amount of mileage on whatever it is we get rid of?
It's very varied. Like an ATV that's used on the beach might get,
Well, not an ATV, let's say a car.
So it depends on what the vehicle is used for. A police car is going to have a lot because they don't really stop, right? They keep on moving and they're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. An ambulance or a vehicle like that stays stationary until it goes on a call. So it varies by the vehicle and by its actual use. A pickup truck might sit in a yard for 2 days and then be used every day for a week and then not be used again. Our garbage trucks right now are being used more, actually less than they were before, but we have to take them out of the city, go over the bridge, go into Inwood, dump the garbage and come back. So it truly does depend on the vehicle, notwithstanding the fact that they drive up and down every single block in the city to pick up garbage and recycling. So there's a lot of different uses, so it's very difficult to answer you, and it wouldn't do you any good to just put an average number on it, 'cause it wouldn't be accurate.
So the turn-in is either, the number of miles on it or the basic utilization of it. If it's
Correct.
been really beat up a lot and something,
Correct.
that's when you do it.
Now you're talking my language, utilization. We're not there yet, but
Oh,
that's
okay.
that's what Ron will be doing with his business intelligence.
Okay. Can we rent any of these out when they're not being used? Maybe they'll bring in some money.
Rent them out? Wouldn't that be fun?
Wouldn't it?
Then we can get it back and fix what they break for us. That'll be a lot of fun.
Jim, what I'm curious about is
Including the costs of insuring and all that
Right.
with these either.
That's
Which
to
is
come. This is the
That's an operating
foundation.
cost.
Yeah, it's a hidden cost right
Yeah.
now.
It's not hidden. We know what it costs
Right,
to do that. But so we also have gone through the step, which to our chagrin at times, where we remove the liability coverage on vehicles that are over 5 years old, with the idea that, well, a vehicle that old, we would then just replace. But that's not necessarily working out in our favor either, but the liability insurance is extremely expensive.
So on all of our vehicles, even if they're beach vehicles or just local maintenance vehicles, they all have to be insured, I assume?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's-
You can't operate a vehicle without insurance, and we are not in the position right now, although I did ask recently questions of what it would cost us to self-insure.
Mhm.
We're not in that position.
Okay. Well,
Maybe
hopefully-
someday.
Hopefully we'll get there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the public? Seeing none, on to item 15.
Item 15 is a resolution authorizing a salary increase and corresponding personnel action.
All right, I guess I'll field this one. So, our emergency management director has left city employment. So, because 4 hours of sleep was too much for our police commissioner / acting city manager, he's now going to take on the emergency management responsibilities as well. So this is a salary adjustment to reflect that he's basically doing,
10 jobs.
as police commissioner, I guess he's now taking on an additional job, but then with acting, he's got 3 jobs. So Any questions from the council?
Yeah, how come we're letting him sleep 4 hours?
Well, now he's only going to get 3.
Tonight I won't.
That's much.
That's right.
No way.
All right, any from the public? All right. James?
Just a quick question. Was the person that left, how much were they getting?
He was at, for that particular assignment, $60-some-odd-thousand, yeah.
Probably about 65, I would say.
Okay, so I think that should be said, right? Because then it kind of makes the city manager.
I should get 65.
No, I didn't say that.
No, I was going to say James.
No. You good, but.
My man.
No. I think that when you have a city, like Roy looks at every dime and dollar, I think to be transparent and let everyone know what's going on so it don't look like, well, we waited to put it all the way at 15 and we did it before everybody left out and we're throwing the city manager, police commissioner, now fire safety expert sleeping 2 hours a day, another $17,000. It should be explained out that the prior person in this position was getting $65,000. He is now saving the city by taking another position to bring the position of 65 down to $17,000. So it doesn't make him look like just another 17,000 is thrown on what he already has. So I'm just saying that because, again, he's taking on another position, and it should be explained out so it don't look like it's just another $17,000 being thrown at him, but we actually have a saving of how much?
It's actually
48,000. 48,000.
So
go ahead.
No, I don't want to take your
Okay,
time.
so I just want to thank the city for saving us $48,000, and, of course, we can't burn our city manager, police commissioner, dog catcher, and everything else that the commissioner does because he has a lot, and he's very detailed with what he's doing, so it is a lot. And I just want to say, if you know you have someone good, don't burn them out. Because he may try to take them all because he's that type of person. He loves administrative stuff. He loves to manage, and he does it well. He's done it more than half of his life. But don't burn him out,
Hurt.
And he can answer for himself, but I'm just saying it as a taxpayer. Don't burn him out and give him too many jobs because if he leaves, then you're leaving the city wide open with 3 or 4 positions at one time.
We're going to buy a cot to put in the city manager's office for him.
And that's why it's $17,000 on an annualized basis. So starting January 1st, assuming 6 months, it'll be about $9,500 that you'll get for 6 months per se. So therefore, the perceived savings could be a savings that will drop to the bottom line this year. But like to your point, next year we really can't say that we're going to save all that money because it's not correct to not fully staff the city. So we have short-term savings, but in terms of long-term, that's not the way to strategically manage a city.
Okay, Ms. Egan.
Excuse me.
Nora Egan, Karen, you actually possibly may have answered. Is this a temporary position for you as OEM?
I don't believe so, no.
No?
No, it's part of the police commissioner's job now.
So how come the police commissioner didn't do it in the past?
You have to ask prior administrations. I don't know the answer to that question, actually.
I would be concerned about taking on so much, I know like James is like saying, but it concerns me that you would be the police commissioner and the OEM if something was to happen that we would need.
A lot of, just so you know, you're aware, a lot of different public safety places that I know Nassau County did it for 75 years, where OEM was out of the police department. That's still kind of the way it ran. So
No, I get
it's
out of the
unusual
police
for it
department,
not to be,
Okay.
actually. So, yeah,
Okay,
that particular role and those particular functions are very synergistic.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, Dave, for item 16, even though we did it already, we needed to make an amendment to it. We needed to amend it to include Exhibit A.
Yeah, Exhibit A, even though it was a clerical error that it was left out
Right,
of
so I
the,
guess we
of
need to
the
amend
published
it just to
agenda,
add
so.
it back in.
Yep.
Do we need to amend it, or can we just add it back in?
No, it'd just be adding it back in.
Okay.
It's just really, we don't have to do it, but just for clarity, we could make it a motion just to.
Okay.
To reflect it into the, in
So
the
I'll make,
agenda.
I'll make a motion to include Exhibit A,
Mhm.
or to add Exhibit A into resolution item 16.
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Item, hold on, I got the wrong sheet.
17.
Item 17 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding special events. This item is for publication only. A hearing will be held March 21st at 7 p.m. Item 18 is approval of minutes from February 21st. Who will make a motion?
Karen, you have an amendment?
I will.
Second?
Wait.
Sorry.
No, that was sent out.
That was
earlier,
already,
so
yeah.
that's it.
Any comments have already been addressed in the
Correct.
minutes, folks.
Thank you.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
And item 19 was added by unanimous consent but has been called already. So we are going to go to the voting portion now. One second here. Okay. So we're back to item number 1, which is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding motor vehicles and traffic. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 2 is a resolution authorizing and approving a master agreement with Bus Patrol America, LLC. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Abstain.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Lost track there for a sec. Okay. Items 3 and 4 have been voted on. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing settlement of an action brought by Julia Lopez Motherway against the City of Long Beach. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item as amended?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 22-23 fiscal year. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Well, Karen.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
This is the resolution calling to the city to complete its cashless Ocean Beach Park transition. I am against a cashless Ocean Beach Park. I think that's really unfair to people who, as Tina had said, don't have bank accounts and stuff, so I'm voting no on that.
Didn't we say we were going to fix, we were accepting cash? But
You can do that, but I said that we were going to have a location where cash is going to, this is not for that. That's not the resolution.
That's all right. Let them
All right.
vote how we
To
want.
complete the cashless.
It's to complete the ability to take credit
not what the
cards.
resolution
It's to
says.
complete credit cards.
Let them vote the way you want.
Okay.
Councilmember McGinnis.
I want to commend the staff for moving this forward. It's been a long time coming. Since I've been on the council, I've been wanting it for the past 2 years, so I vote yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay, item 7 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 22-23 fiscal year. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the retention of consulting services. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to amend the contract for asphalt overlay work at various locations throughout the city. Would you just move the adoption of this item as amended?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
For 1.3 million, I hope we get a lot of nice streets, yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 10 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into a contract for the rehabilitation of the high-pressure sand gravel filters at the water purification plant. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 11 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into a contract for engineering services inclusive of alternate analysis, recommendation, and implementation of advanced metering infrastructure water meters from the lowest responsible bidder. Introduce and move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 12 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase various T-shirts and athletic apparel with imprints for the lowest responsible bidders. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
The idea that we don't know how much, how many, or virtually anything except what we would be paying if we bought them, it just doesn't fly with me. I vote no.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 13 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase miscellaneous general hardware items on an as-needed basis. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item as amended?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 14 is resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase various vehicles for various city departments. Will you introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
I appreciate everything Ron's done to move this city, but I think we just don't need these many cars and to spend this much money. I'm voting no.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 15 is a resolution authorizing a salary increase and corresponding personnel action. Will you introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 16 is a resolution requesting the State of New York for the authority to discontinue the use as parkland of a portion of Ocean Beach Park and alienate the lands described and to convey property interest in such lands to EW Offshore Transport Corporation. Who would introduce and move the adoption of this item as amended?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
What's being voted on tonight is really instrumental in giving us a voice in this process. I vote yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Any vote other than yes gives us less control, so yes.
Item 17 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding special events. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
And finally, item 19 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase equipment to hardwire beach ticket booths for the Ocean Beach Park. Will you introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
As for the reasons stated in resolution number 6, I vote no.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
City Manager's monthly personnel report has been filed by the city clerk. Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
You don't want to close the meeting? See, now you look up. Yes.
President Bendo.
Should we wait a little while, keep Mr. Berrios here a little later?
His car's been booted, don't worry
Yes.
about it.
Yes. All right, on to good and welfare. For whoever's left.
Those cookies have been staring me down for
Take
hours.
one.
I want to check my sugar first.
I hope it's,
There's not that many people here.
Mr. Paganini.
Seventh inning stretch, is that what you meant?
Hello, Council.
Hello, Mr. Paganini.
Ron Paganini, Long Beach. First thing I want to say, to let the people know what's going on, basically, is that there was a story in the Herald this week about our firefighters. It's a good story, it's well covered, and I had a comment basically stating that like no matter what, who's at fault for the taxpayer, it doesn't matter who it is. But the thing is, we're in a fiscal. I'm calling it personally a fiscal crisis. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you a rundown of why I feel that's the way it is. I need my glasses. We really do have to stay under that New York cap this year, simply because we've been taxed to death for the last 11 years, 55%. Our fees are maxed out, sanitation, water, sewer, we're maxed out. The super block levy is still in effect. It's not a big levy, but it's big enough. You got $5 million that was paid out. You got to look into, cutting that overtime down to help us stay under the cap. Inflation is over 7% right now, which is brutal for people who don't make more than, $60,000, which is a lot of people who live here and rent here. The Haberman levy, we know what it is now. It's $600 on the average, which it's a big percentage. What is it, 8%? Well, I mean, I don't know what the percent is, but it's up there. We can't take another 5%. And we know the New York State real estate tax, we can only claim $10,000. So that doesn't help anymore. So it gets to the council. It gets to what we believe in, what I believed in, when I ran with you. This was the first thing on the agenda, to help the taxpayer. And at that time, we were being taxed to death again. I know you're doing a good job, you're doing the best you can. But we need better now. We can't have $5 million floating around in overtime. Just think about it. If this council does not take action on this, this new budget to help us, the homeowners and renters will not be able to afford to live here anymore. But, think about this, but employees can make $400,000 and you're still floating around, $5 million. It's still on the menu as we speak. So I'm just urging you, and I'm not going away on this issue, to really get together. Let's lower the politics, really, and the friendships. Listen, I got a lot of friends, but they're not going to rob me either. So I'm just, it's a little, I'm angry. I'm angry, and I'm sure you guys are angry. I'm sure Mr. Walsh is doing the best he can. And by the way, Mr. Walsh, thank you for working so cheaply. Thank you, and I mean that.
So, all right, thanks, Ron.
All right.
Time's up.
Thank you.
I just want to point out, you and I have had this conversation before. The 82% of the city's budget is salaries basically, salaries and benefits. And I had asked you, where do you think we could cut? So, I mean, put together some suggestions. And not now, because we want to go home, but, you can call me, or I'll come meet you for a beer or a cup of coffee, and...
I mean, if I'd love to meet and talk to you. I have really great suggestions, and nobody gets fired. Believe me, it'll work. But
okay.
But the employees have to want to sacrifice, like we want to sacrifice the taxpayer.
That's the key.
You know what I'm saying? We have to do this, really. We promised.
Right.
I promised, and I meant it.
Because we all...
You guys promised.
Too. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mary Volasevich,
Thank
who
you.
I don't see. Christina Kramer, who I don't see. Tim Kramer, who I believe also left. Casey Petrasic. Okay. Crystal Lake.
You should sit further forward.
Past my bedtime.
Me too.
Good evening again, and I want to say thank you to the city manager's presentation regarding the upcoming North Shore Critical Infrastructure presentation and online update page. And thank you, Mr. Fabrizio, Mr. Brand, for the upcoming upgrades to Sherman Brown and Leeward Kindness Park. So thank you. Also, I was wondering if you could possibly request a New York State representative regarding, from Albany, their housing, Governor Hochul's housing plan, so we can have a better understanding, because you're hearing the spin, and you're hearing what she's saying as well, but it's similar to downtown revitalization. And I just think it would be a great opportunity from someone from the state, since on the little flyer that was sent out, that Long Beach, there was a little circle on Long Beach. So regarding Equinor, it is, yes.
Just to interrupt, I don't think it's a secret, but we're actually going to be having a meeting regarding the housing with the state authority.
Great.
Commissioner, so
I should call you
we will
Crystal
get
Ball,
back.
not Crystal Lake. That was
I
pretty
just
good.
said you must be psychic. Every time you come up, we've already discussed it.
Okay, that works. That works for me. Regarding Equinor, I mean, we all must take into consideration sea level rise, global warming, and climate change. That must be addressed. However, this project, Equinor is a giant. Make no mistake. You're going up against a force. Just perusing some of the documents, which are scattered all over the place, they're very discombobulated. It's not community friendly at all. Meetings, I was speaking to some of the representatives. I did ask the individuals for their contact information, and only one person had a card. I was so disappointed. So we've learned a great deal from our past, from others' past mistakes or mistakes, whatever the case may be, when it comes to protecting our community, our lives, our homes, and our families. It's quite interesting. And I did suggest to them, whether it's federal waters or state permitting process, I do have a decent understanding of EJ. Whether the utilities are going through the community, or they can even be near the community or close by, they still have to follow some implemented federal and or state strategies regarding environmental justice. So, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Have a
Crystal.
good night.
All right, Mike Jacobs. All right. Kevin Martinson? Martinson? Okay. All right, James Hodge. I want to poll. Who talked more tonight, Roy or James?
James. There's no way you were going to let this go. There's a microphone there.
I threw you a lob pitch.
I just want to stand again. Thank you, Mr. Lester, for your due diligence. And I know that Mr. Walsh said thank you to Roy and the other lady for keeping him on his toes. But all of the council members, they all, ask you questions, and that's good that they ask you questions. But I just wanted to really rise to just say congratulations again to Lieutenant Anna from the Long Beach Auxiliary. Captain. From lieutenant to
right.
captain. That's what I meant. So again,
Who is
captain.
still here donating her time for free over there.
In history. Another round of applause. You can't applaud the auxiliaries and the volunteers enough. She does such a fine job, and she has such a warm and loving spirit to really just, show everyone love, even through the auxiliaries. And she's a great mom to her son. If you have her on Facebook, you always see all of the kind things that she do. So I just wanted to stand up again. And obviously, thank you again, Commissioner. And I know we were talking about the OEM and how some police commissioners have that as a part of their job. So if they have that as a part of their job, then I guess that we will be going actually down next year if you continue that, unless, because we said that it's actually a part of the job. You just made me think back there when you said it's a part of the job. So that means that 17 may be deleted to what you're already getting. I don't know. That made me start thinking.
17 what?
The $17,000 that we added. But you said that in some OEMs that it's actually a part of the commission. And the one thing about it is you got 28 years as a police officer. You started your police career in the Long Beach Auxiliary Police. In the Long Beach Auxiliary Police officers, you have extensive training and all of that. So you're great for the position to understand emergency and management and connections, as you was a chief, connecting so many dots and bringing people together. I think no one would be better in our city than you to handle that area. But you just made me think about the salary part when you said that. And I'm only regurgitating on what you said, that it generally is connected, So
it's built into their salaries, which is now built into mine.
Okay, I heard it, but I really wanted to just stand up to just, again, congratulate Captain Anna. So, again, thank you for all that you bring to the table as you consistently get all of these answers and questions. Roy, thank you so much. I love you, Roy. Okay, I love you. All right, I'll give you a hug later. No, I love you.
This is like
all
getting
right.
into stand
Again,
up.
good night, everyone. Thank you so much. And to the attorney, you sure this is something you want to do? No? Okay, got you. All right, good night. God bless.
So I want an opinion out of you, because
Out of me?
James has brought up several times council due diligence. How much time would you say? How much time would you say the staff spends each week answering council questions?
Too much.
Oh my God. A lot. There's this council happens to be very, very involved in trying to get the information so that not only do they understand how the dollars are being spent, but operationally how those dollars turn into the service provision for the city. It can feel overwhelming at times, to be very honest with you, but the staff here is very responsive and very informative in trying to make sure that the council has absolutely everything that they have so that when they get in front of the public with resolutions, they have all the information that they need.
And we don't have to ask.
What's that?
And we don't have to ask questions.
No, that's right. So the information that the council gets, in my opinion, is critical. There are some things that I don't agree with philosophically, but that's the point of government. The point of government is that the people around this table argue it out, talk about it, get the information, and you're informed so that you can properly represent and spend the money the right way. So, a lot of hours.
Okay, thanks. Amber Goodrich.
I think there's two.
Nora Egan.
That wasn't by design, Nora, to have you at the bottom of the pile. It just happened to be there.
James, you can't go yet.
Somebody else, right? There's somebody else after me.
You can't go yet.
Okay, Nora Egan. So
There's one
in
more.
January, or February, I brought up about the ethics board. It's still the same way on the website. You can't apply for it. So if we could do something about that. I also, the same night, brought up Park Avenue and Long Beach Road. It's horrible. And I know you said that there is patrols. Obviously, they must be avoiding me because they're never around when I'm walking home. And I will admit, I jaywalk now because it's much safer for me to walk, to cross on Eastchester, cross like the thing, because the crosswalk, it's just not safe. Like, I don't know if we can get cameras, or can I get a petition for speed bumps on Park Avenue, because that turn is a disaster.
Yeah, like I said, we have stepped up the enforcement efforts there. We've been writing tickets. We have police officers that actually specifically spend time there on what's called a directed patrol. But the management of that intersection is not under the city's control.
No, I know.
And I've asked Nassau County to look at it. It is on their schedule to redo. I will make another call to the Commissioner of DPW there again to see if I can find out when that's actually going to take place. I agree with you. It's not a great intersection. It's just
like really bad, and I do find myself screaming at people because they're just flying around, and I don't blame them because the lights are just not clear there.
Yeah.
So, and thank you. I appreciate that.
I actually thought personally that should be a traffic circle. I just do. I think that should be
Yes.
a traffic circle. You're not going fast around a traffic circle. But no,
it's
not
terrible,
really.
and like people,
Yeah.
it's just too dangerous. Also,
Very calming to traffic.
Really?
Yeah.
there was some kind of a car crash on Monroe within the last 2 weeks, or something. Maybe a car was broke, but there is shattered window glass on the grass of Monroe between Park Avenue and my own street, Eastchester. Right across.
Park and what?
Park and
and
between. No, I'm sorry. On Monroe between Park and Eastchester.
Yeah, on Monroe between Park and
Right
Eastchester.
across the street from New York Sports, like right where that medical center is. So the shattered glass has been in the grass and on the sidewalk for
That'll
the
be taken
last
care
2
of
weeks.
tomorrow. We'll have somebody
Okay,
out there tomorrow.
Thank you.
Sorry about
And then if I could request the city council and city manager write to the MTA and do something about the train schedules.
Already drafted.
Okay, drafted,
It's
but
drafted,
sent.
and I have to just get my
Okay.
colleagues to sign on.
Okay, if we can get it out there sooner rather than later. The morning train for Long Beach did not show up on Monday and Tuesday. So just, not that anybody uses the train, I don't think, really to commute, but it's tough. Thank you.
Wow. Eileen Hession.
Just to end the meeting, look at your audience. The usual suspects. You had a full house tonight, and granted, some of them were a hostile audience.
I didn't feel that at
But
all.
it would be very nice to have a lot of people here. And twice tonight, a city council member said, now you can leave. And hordes of people left. Don't tell them to leave. Tell them to stay and keep coming back. Thank you very much. And now you may all leave.
Well, since Eileen ended the meeting, everyone have a good night.
Nice job.
And we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you, Eileen.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
We knew it was going to happen.
How you doing, bro?
Welcome aboard, Chip.
I'm exhausted.